It's time for the old time happy hour. So pick up your step and smile a while.
Hey, welcome everybody. Holy crap, we got a lot of people in here. But before we do that, and that means it's bug season. Heck, who am I kidding? It's always bug season in Texas. And that's why you need Grandeur Pest Solutions in your corner. They're locally owned and operated. They're trained, they're trustworthy, and they have a proven record as they have been in business for almost 10 years. They provide pest control against ants, bed bugs, bees, roaches, fleas, wasps, mosquitoes, rodents, spiders. If it crawls and you don't like it, they're probably going to take care of it for you. Now, they serve all of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they're locally owned. These two guys have been running this business since 2013, and every year they get bigger and bigger. But you know what they still do? They still have great customer service. In fact, if you get a hold of them, they're usually going to have your quote and your job ready to go within 48 hours. That's pretty good. Now, you can call them for a free estimate at 469-809-1769. You can find them online at Grandeur4, that's the number 4, shore.com. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in Grandeur Pet Solutions, and we are so happy that they're title sponsor for Outdrank the Coverage in 2023.
Here we go! Buck, here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Yeah, here we go!
It's time for the old time happy hour.
There we are. Hey, how you doing, intern Noe the Pro?
Doing swell. How are you?
You're in studio, my friend.
Yeah.
So-
Week 1 of the NFL season.
Yeah, week 1 of the NFL season. You know what that means? That means
That hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
this is Outdrank the Coverage. Our normal, well, I say normal. This is actually technically our first live happy hour in season. We were kind of curious about how this would go. We were like, hey, if we get like a couple thousand, you know, it's Monday night, people are doing their own thing. And as we're getting ready, we're having a lot of issues in the show. Most of them my fault because, well, we've been out drinking the coverage for the afternoon. But I look over and we had 7,500 people waiting for us. So we do appreciate you. Hey, interact with us, though. We were just talking about that earlier, that the one thing about this show over the last few years since we brought it back is we get a lot of Facebook interactions. We get all that, but we don't get a lot of true, like, people commenting in the chat and all that. So we would love to have that. But first, intern Noe, how do what you drinking?
I do good. I'm drinking. I brought it in the studio. It's called Oregon Spirit. It's a straight American bourbon, 94 proof. It kind of has the grassy, earthy notes that I get from a lot of those Indiana whiskeys.
Yeah.
But I like it, man. It's actually a little bit smoother than the Indiana ones I've been having. So, yeah, I like it. How about you, man? How do you do? And what do you drink?
I do good. I drink, what I've been drinking for the last, 3 months, a little bit longer. I'm drinking, as I brought it into studio as well. I'm drinking Goodnight Loving.
Ooh.
But, now we can't talk a lot about it yet.
The first but of the season.
We will also be drinking a lot of what's called beach whiskey, American beach whiskey, Island Coconut. I'm not saying this is an ad, but in the future, this could be an ad. Oh, no, sorry. Wrong ad. Ooh, that's for the OnlyFans I have to shoot later. By the way, if you have not joined our Patreon, please join our Patreon. By the time you probably watch this show, we've already recorded our first fantasy Outdrank the Coverage. Noe knows. And this was just kind of us talking a little bit like week 1 and like how do we draft, things like that. But that will be on our Patreon. I will get our Patreon up here in a minute. We just started our Patreon a couple weeks ago, and we've really been ecstatic with the what we've got. Because you never know what people are going to do when you say, hey, not only are we wanting you to listen to us, but, if you don't mind throwing a couple bucks. And it is just a couple bucks. $3 a month, guys. Or ladies. Ladies can join us too. But check that.
And anyone in between.
Yeah, anyone in between. We have no judgment here. But check out, you'll also get unedited versions of certain things and you'll also be getting a very special, if you haven't seen, Vince McMahon is supposedly in a documentary where he's going to open up about his life, his loves, his mistakes in the WWE. So in October, I think that comes out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, September 25th.
Yeah, 25th. And so in October, you're going to be back in studio for another Monday night, and we're going to record a Patreon only, at least to start. It'll eventually go to YouTube, where we're going to basically talk about that. I think it's multiple episodes. I don't think it's one big thing. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, we're going to have that, and we're going to be talking about what he says and just kind of bleeding over in our love of wrestling. 'Cause that's something we haven't really talked about on the show.
I hope it's longer than the McNair one, because that was my common issue with the McNair documentary. Steve McNair, former Tennessee Titan quarterback who passed away, unalive.
Yeah, I can't say.
Self unalive. Event about 15 years ago, and it was only like 50 minutes an hour. And I think McMahon, especially with his father and grandfather, especially with the history of wrestling, I really think it should be more than 1 hour long. I think this should be a series, like you were saying. I didn't look it up. I just know September 25th it's coming out. I don't know if it's an episode 1 or it's a whole 2-hour documentary. But yeah, that'll be something we're going to review. And you and I, at one point or another in our lifetime, we both love wrestling, and McMahon's been a part of it ever since we've been alive. So it'll be a good thing to cover, and we have some good memories to talk about.
Yeah, and you and I have talked many times over wrestling and stuff, and I never was a big fan of the WWF that then became the WWE. I always liked the WCW, WCCW here, Mid-South, which was the Southern, Eastern, like Louisiana on, NWA, the old NWA. I was more in the regional stuff, but I mean, you couldn't, if you were a wrestling fan in the 80s, and if you're a wrestling fan in the late 2000s or early 2000s, you could not watch wrestling without watching. And so I know the Attitude Era. I know all the beats, and we all know all the dark side now. It's curious to see, though. It might be a drinking game of how honest does Vince get, or is he just going to be defending himself the whole time? That's where I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he always has a guard up whenever he does interviews. And if you've ever seen Vince McMahon in interviews, he keeps the business, like it's a traditional thing to still keep the belief that wrestling's real. He comes from that old school mentality. Nowadays, with the newer wrestlers, they're on social media. It's they don't make any. They're not trying to hide that wrestling is predetermined. So it's a different environment now. But like back in those old interviews, he would still try to keep that facade that it was pretty real and don't ever disrespect the business or anything like that. So yeah, it's I think it'll be good. It'll be really good. I have a lot of opinions on him in general. So yeah, that'll be a good show.
All right. So to the now 12,000 people who are watching, we thank you again. Hello. Please check out our Patreon. You can email us if you have any questions, thoughts, odtcshow@gmail.com. So what this is, if this is the first time you're tuning in, what this is mainly we start in Texas. We are a Dallas-based show. We cover the Cowboys and we cover the Texans. As you can see, the little helmets. Now, the big helmets tonight are San Francisco and the Jets, because tonight we're going to be doing a watching party. We will technically be doing a watching party every week, but you're not in studio, and some of those only might go through the first quarter, because normally we start this at 6 o'clock. We started later tonight at 6:30 because we wanted to include the NFL show, and we realized if we didn't, we'd be asleep in 30 minutes, because we're about to have to do some shots to memories of, and two great players. One of our things that we like to do before we start the show is we kind of reference a player you might not remember, and kind of give hey, this is why he was pretty good. And then we do a shot to him. So because it's a Monday night and we've got two players, we're doing two, but then sadly, a great one was lost. Not a football person, but a legend in American history. You forget about that. We're making a history as we live. And so some of these people, we just think of it, oh, he's great now, but this is a guy that will live forever through his voice and his works. And of course, that is the now late, great James Earl Jones. So Mr. Jones, to you, we salute you. Thank you for Darth Vader. Thank you for one of the best speeches ever in Field of Dreams, an overrated movie, but that's still a great speech. Just thank you for being you. Vio con Dios, sir.
Cheers.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people know him as the voice of Darth Vader. And again, I love Field of Dreams, and I know I can see where you say it's overrated, but
It's not a bad movie. I like it. It just
we, in honor of James Earl Jones, I propose we have that Field of Dreams movie as a bad movies and a drink.
what about we did a double feature, that and Sandlot, because he's in Sandlot too.
Oh,
In
yeah.
fact, I like his character in Sandlot more than I liked him in, and not that I disliked him in Field. Again, I don't hate Field of Dreams. I want that to be understood. I just
Those
feel
the viewer numbers are going way down now.
we're down to 4.
Yeah.
But I do, of all the baseball movies, that's one of the last ones I watched.
Sandlot was great. It was about 93.
Mhm.
So it was around the time when I started following sports, and that was an important movie for me to watch. I really like Sandlot.
Yeah, and it's a perfect movie almost. Every beat, you can watch it as a kid, even though it was set in the 60s. For me, as an 80s kid who loved baseball and like my summers, that's what we did.
Yep.
We would go. My dad coached my team, and for a long time, and so we actually had a practice field in the back part of our land, and
Yeah.
so we'd all go play baseball for a couple hours, then we'd all go over to somebody's house and swim, and all that kind of stuff. And so and just James Earl Jones. I mean, he there for a while, he was the voice in everything.
Yeah.
And he lived a great long life. No shame in making it to 93.
93 is great.
I hope I can see 71 or 50 or 49 in Wednesday. But by the way, 4 minutes till the game starts. Of course, the kickoff's going to be a few minutes. And so normally what we do before we get to the other stuff is this show is also, as I was trying to say, we're going to talk the Texans and Cowboys first and then bleed into the NFL. Tonight, we're doing it with the backdrop of we're watching the football game with us, so watch the game with us. Of course, we can't show the game. I should have done that with so many people looking for ways to watch the game because of the Disney Direct. I should have put Niners versus Jets live. I should have done that. And we'd have probably got even. Heck, we got 12,000.
We need to be honest and fair to our viewers,
but not to our fantasy football opponents.
That is true. That
all
is
right.
true.
So tonight we've got the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers. Big news, if you haven't heard, a big important cog of the San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, is actually out. I think everybody's a little surprised. We all knew he was banged up with a calf and Achilles, but he felt, or at least he was telling the press, he felt like he was going to be able to go.
Yeah.
I think this is a smart decision. You can't win a Super Bowl in week 1, but you sure can lose one. Just ask the Jets of last year. I mean, we joke about it with Aaron Rodgers. It's a completely different team last year if he's healthy. You don't want McCaffrey to tear an Achilles or tear a calf muscle in week 1 and basically be unable to play the rest of the year.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in football. 49ers have benefited from him the last couple of years. He has had injury issues at Carolina where he got drafted. So he's in his late 20s now. So
28. I was looking up his stuff before we began this, and I keep forgetting he's already been this is his 7th year.
Oh, wow. So it's 27 or 2018.
28, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, with Christian McCaffrey being of that age, with the high volume amount of carries he's had, both running and receiving.
Yeah.
In the couple of years he's been out with injuries. I know it screwed me over in fantasy football. So, yeah, it's a smart decision. It's 6 months. And the NFL season is 6 months if you go all the way to the Super Bowl. So, if you have a team that's about that life, about that Super Bowl winning life, then just rest your best players when you can and take the loss. If it happens, no big deal. And you still have
long season.
Yeah,
and
a lot of games to play.
If you're going to lose to the other conference. That's the last tie. I mean, it's not even technically a tiebreaker. It's not on there. So anyway, all right. So let's do our homage too as we're waiting. We'll first start with the New York Jets, Al Toon. Now, again, if first time you listen to the show, or if you've listened or watched before and you're like, wait a minute, yeah, this is a new thing. We're acting
very
like this.
new. Yes,
I think this is our third time to do it. We did it with the AFC preview and the NFC preview. So for this Monday night, we won't do 2 every week. That's only when you're in studio, because I'm literally. This is called venting because I'm not ready to take that next shot yet. So I'm trying to wait. But no, Al Toon was one of my favorite players from the 80s. you and I have talked about this. I was a Cowboy fan, but I never hated other teams.
Yeah.
And especially when you got to see teams you didn't get to see all the time, like the Jets. The Jets were interesting because, in the mid 80s, you had the New York Sack Exchange. And me, my favorite thing is pass rush. That's what I love. My favorite players tend to be pass rushers, but my second favorite players tend to be wide receivers.
Yeah.
And one of the things the Jets had underrated was a very big passing game, man. When them and the Dolphins in the 80s matched up, it was going to be 50-45. And Altoon was one of those. Through his career, he played 7 years. He had 2 1,000-yard years. He had 93 receptions in 1988, which was pretty damn amazing. Back, you still didn't realize, we still weren't in that consistent now. Where think about it. CeeDee Lamb led the league last year, and he had 80 more receptions? No, 60, 50. How many did he have?
Was it like 135?
Yeah, 135.
Yeah.
So, and so 93 and 87 was mind-blowing, and 93 is like, or 88 was holy crap. But he made all-pro team twice, once as a first-teamer, that was in 85, as a second-teamer in 80. In 86 and 85. I can't see right now. 88. Sorry, I was looking the wrong way. Made 3 Pro Bowls back-to-back years, and he was most productive from that 85 to 88. He did have a bounce-back year in 91 where he had 963 yards and 74 receptions. But, he's one of those guys who was really good, but he wasn't good long enough to be iconic. He's never going to make the Hall of Fame. People outside of football nerds like us probably won't remember him, but that's why we say, salute you. I hate you, Altoon. I'm going to really hate the next one after this one. Here we go.
Cheers. Yeah, Altoon was a really good, really good receiver. It was kind of a triplet with Ken O'Brien at quarterback, Freeman McNeil at running back, Altoon at receiver.
Don't forget Wesley Walker.
Wesley Walker at tight end.
Really good.
Yeah, so it was a holy quartet.
Yes.
But yeah, the Jets were pretty competitive in the mid '80s. I remember the 86 playoffs? They had that screw up against the Browns, that penalty by Gastineau that kind of cost them the AFC title appearance. So this is a team that was legit one of the top 5 teams in the NFL in the mid '80s.
Yeah, they just couldn't get out of their own way in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They we joke about it with Dallas now, but that's kind of where they were. They couldn't get past that into the NFC title game or AFC title game.
Yeah.
But they had such fun teams with Mark Kelso. Joe Kelso and Mark Gastineau. Or Klecko, excuse me, not Kelso. And then you talk about the offense. They were fun. Joe Walton, their head coach. This is one of the reasons why we do this show. Is it's not just current event, but we do our look past or our look backs because we don't just want to remember the champions. You want to remember the whole sport. The tapestry of the game is not just champions.
Yep.
It's not just guys who always won. It's built on the guys like Altoon, or in times when they did win, Keena Turner.
Love Keena Turner. He had a great voice, by the way.
Yes, he does. Not like Tina Turner.
Not as good as Tina Turner, but yeah, Keena
He
Turner.
might have had better legs. No, she has really awesome.
Played,
Even now, she has awesome.
Basically, he was a product of the 80s 49ers, played from 80 to 90. He was a starter almost the entire decade of the 80s and multiple time, or actually was only a Pro Bowler once.
One time, but you got to understand, he was on a defense that itself was not, it kind of got underrated because of Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, that whole group. But also, even on that, you can only have so many Pro Bowlers from one team, especially in that era when you think about them on defense, the Giants on defense, the Redskins on defense, the Bears on defense. And then you had those other teams like the Rams who would have sought the 100% the sack linebacker core of the Saints in the late 80s took a Pro Bowl or 2 away from Keena Turner.
Yeah.
But he was the glue of that defense. He was like Tony Tolbert was for the 90s Cowboys. Yeah. He wasn't going to have a ton of amazing stats, but he was going to do his job. He was going to set the edge, fill the gap so everybody else could do their job.
So you think, because that defense, we really know them for Ronnie Lott, hard-hitting safety, who was a corner to start, then moved into safety, and that's when he became a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Earlier, Fred Dean, but Hacksaw Reynolds, linebacker. So yeah, it wasn't really like
Charles Haley
in the late 80s, early 90s. As Cowboy fans, we definitely love him for sure because he was
hate him.
and hate it.
at that one time.
He was the final piece. He was
Oh,
the
yeah,
final piece
100%.
to what made this team, what made the 90s Cowboys a dynasty.
Yep, 100%.
But yeah, I can see where he would be an unsung hero while we're doing a shot to him, because he's not forgotten to us, but I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know about him just because there was just so many great offensive players on the 49ers that you're not even thinking about the defense.
It's the kind of the same thing with the Cowboys on defense in the 90s. I mean, yeah, people remember Haley and, of course, Deion Sanders, but like Ken Norton Jr.
Yeah.
Like, I will say this 1,000%, and I'm including his time with San Francisco. Ken Norton Jr. should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He won't get in there because he didn't have enough All-Pros. He didn't have enough Pro Bowls, even though he had a good amount. That's a travesty.
Yeah.
Like, Ken Norton literally led 2 teams to Super Bowls. He was the first guy to win 3 in a row.
Has there ever been anyone since?
I think there was somebody else that did it by backup position.
Yeah.
I think there's been at least one. Well, yeah, I think there was, because I think they were with the Patriots when they won 2, and then but anyway, point is still, and this was a guy that, I mean, dude, I don't know if Dallas beats Bills in that first Super Bowl without the goal line stand.
Yeah.
That changed that game. That's the moment where Dallas put the pedal to the metal and just, and against Dallas in the 95's or 94's championship game, he had a great game. And so, yeah, the defensive players always tend to get lost unless you're like, 85 Chicago, Tampa, Baltimore, the Steel Curtain, the doomsday defense of the 70s for Dallas. Did we do our shot yet?
We have not.
Let's do our shot.
To Keenan Turner, 4-time Super Bowl winner. Congratulations, buddy. You made our list. Did you have your shot, sir? Because you're over here like double dipping and.
No, I just had my shot.
Oh, in the red solo.
Yeah, because I only had 2 shot glasses.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm the lush with 3 shot glasses. Sorry.
Oh, no, I always give my guests the most shot glasses.
So I'm looking. Russ Hochstein matched Ken Norton Jr. with 3 in a row, winning his first with the Buccaneers and the next 2 with the Patriots.
Yeah, I knew it was something to do with the Patriots. I couldn't remember what it was.
So I guess it was 02 to 04.
Yeah. But yeah, and by the way, Keena Turner was one of the few of those Niners. He was with Montana from beginning to end in that. Roger Craig wasn't. Jerry Rice wasn't. A lot of people forget Jerry Rice was not on the first Super Bowl team.
Yeah, so I think, Ronnie Lott, maybe Eric Wright too.
I think Eric Wright.
But yeah, so Keena Turner, Montana, those are the mainstays of all 4 Super Bowl teams, because the 49ers won in 81, 84, 88, 89. Those early to mid 80s teams are winning Super Bowls. There were guys that had been there since the mid to late 70s, or just veteran free agents that came over. So they weren't staying for that much longer.
Yeah.
They got their ring and they retired. But Craig came in 83, I believe, or 82, and won a few Super Bowls. And then Rice came in 85. And he was on the 88, 89, and 94 Super Bowl team. So, game almost about to start.
Yeah, so, and we'll get into the show stuff, like the Cowboys and stuff during the game. That's kind of the whole point of this. So let's go ahead and start with, how do you see this game playing out? Jets versus Niners.
I hopefully, ideally, Rodgers plays the whole game. The story going into this is Leonard Floyd, former Bill linebacker / edge rusher, came to, he's kind of the one that was around the play where Aaron Rodgers got hurt. It was out for the year last season and week 1. So that's basically why the Jets and 49ers are playing on Monday night again in week 1. That'll be played out as y'all are watching the game from the comfort of your home. They're going to be talking about Leonard Floyd being with the 49ers now, going up against Rodgers, the guy he injured and took out for the season last year. I really think so prediction, I think the 49ers are going to win. I think it'll, even without Christian McCaffrey, I still think they're going to win. I think it'll be more of a passing effort by Brock Purdy, because he needs that money now. He's due for a fat contract, so he needs to start proving it. So
Well, I mean, this is a really important year for him.
It's a very important year.
And you and I talked about that in the preview show. I think it's an important year for Kyle Shanahan. when you look at, and by the way, Grant Gibbs, re-ask your question. The studio load. He asked a question for intern Noe, but the studio reloaded. So
Oh,
if
I can't see it.
yeah,
Okay.
if it for some reason it didn't say, we've had some studio issues today, but yeah, I think this is very much a do we stick with Brock Purdy, and oddly enough, do we stick with Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah.
I can see a path where he gets fired. Now, I still think they have to like flame out or get beat in the division round really bad. I think if they made it another NFC title game or another Super Bowl and loss,
Yeah.
I just you go firing them, then you're going, hey, that it's the same thing we talk about with Dak and as a Cowboy quarterback. Just because you cut someone or fire someone to get better does not guarantee that you get better.
Yeah.
And you're playing with fire there, but I definitely think that this is a moratorium on Brock Purdy. And do we want to pay him, or do we go, okay, he literally has the same stats as Jimmy G over the same amount of games, so maybe we just draft another quarterback next year and we go that route. So I think it's funny for all the talk about the Cowboys and the pressure they have on them just to get to the NFC title game.
Yeah.
San Francisco has that exact same pressure. It's just to actually win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean that is it, because they came within overtime of winning last season's Super Bowl, so they're on the cusp for sure. They've been trying everything to get there. Honestly, I think the best thing they did was get Malik Collins from the Texans. I think he'll shore up some of their line issues that Chase Young really didn't, or really wasn't able to do last season when he was traded from Washington. So I think it's going to be a really good 49er team. That's not a hot take or anything like that. I really think with Ayuk getting this fat contract and Deebo Samuel with his contract, Brock Purdy, he's motivated to get a big contract. So this is going to be a team that's going to, even without Christian McCaffrey, they still have so much great depth at running back. I think they'll be fine.
That's a good point.
49ers, I think they'll win 24-17.
I think San Francisco is going to be perfectly fine this year. I think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think the Jets will pull a little bit of a stunner off.
Okay.
If Aaron Rodgers can make it 6 plays, that'll be the biggest thing. If he doesn't, all bets are off.
He made it 4 plays last season before he got shut down.
All right. So while we're waiting for this game to get started on, before we get right into the Cowboys and the Texans, outside of the Cowboys and Texans, what stood out for you the most in week 1 Sunday and Thursday? We'll include the Thursday game. What stood out the most for you in the Thursday game and all the Sunday games outside of the Cowboys and Texans?
Oh, dude, there was a lot that stood out, both team-wise and individual-wise. I will start with team-wise. I'm going to go ahead and go with how impressed I was with the Patriots in the big upset of the week.
Hang on. Sorry. Grant Gibbs has asked this question. He wants to hear from intern Noe the Pro. What are your thoughts on the 49ers being the perfect team if they just add 20 to their name?
I'm gonna, usually I would answer any fans' questions, and this Grant Gibbs character seems like a big fan of me.
Oh, he is. I think he's obsessed.
Yeah, he's a little obsessed. What was this? Swim fan?
Yes,
movie?
Swim fan or the movie. The fan with Robert De Niro being an obsessed fan of Wesley Snipes, who was playing.
Oh, baseball.
Yeah, it's a book. I read the book before I ever watched the movie. The book is way better. The movie actually turned out to be
I didn't know it was based off a book.
Yeah, it's a really solid book. But anyway, you got to admit though, if they had 69er and then all the names on the back was just nice. I mean, I kind of agree with Grant.
That would be a lot of fans' favorite team.
Oh yeah, go look at the jerseys in the stadiums. I know at one point you couldn't get 69 as a number. That's a true story.
Yeah.
When you did the individual, like your whatever number name for a long time, they wouldn't let you do it.
Before you changed your shirt to the Cowboys Doomsday, you had the Goon shirt, and I remember,
take 69. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Goon is one of our favorite movies. It was a 2011 hockey movie with Sean William Scott,
Jay Baruchel.
Yeah.
A lot of people in that. Lieb Schreiber. Schreiber. All right, so go back to what you were talking about yesterday. Sorry about that.
So with the Patriots, Jared Mayo, there was 8 coaches that debuted, 8 new head coaches that debuted this week one,
Mhm.
and Jared Mayo was another one. He's younger than me, and
Doesn't that suck?
yeah, it's
We've
all right.
reached that age.
I'm in that I'm in that point now. I mean, Sean McVay was kind of the precursor, but yeah, now I'm starting to really feel it.
Now, you know how you feel old is when John Harbaugh, you remember when he was the youngest head coach by a pretty big stretch,
Yeah.
and he's now one of the oldest head coaches.
Yeah, he was in his early 40s, like 42.
And he's
43.
61 now. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think him and Andy Reid are the two oldest head coaches now in the league.
That's crazy.
And to think about like just Andy Reid in 2000, you know.
Well, they're two of the longest tenured head coaches.
Mhm.
I mean, I think Tomlin has Harbaugh beat by about a year as far as longest tenured with one team.
Yeah. But yeah.
But yeah, the Patriots winning the way they won was ridiculous. I think the Bengals need to retire that all orange uniform. That did not look good, and then they lost. I think that's more motivation to change.
They're terrible to start the season for
They
some reason.
typically are. Their head coach, Zach Taylor, former Nebraska quarterback, he is 1-5 as a head coach in week one with the Bengals.
And like, you know, the last couple years, they've started not only 0-1, but like 1-4 and 2-5, you know, and then last year they couldn't catch up once, you know, Burrow was hurt the year before. But still you put yourself in such a hole that you can't have that slip up in November or you lose seeding. And at the end of the day, especially now with only one team being a home team, the seed is everything. Like the seed is everything. That's why, and it was genius by the NFL, because what does it do? It creates week 16 and 17 where 90% of the teams have to play because they, you know, that one seed's going to be in play. And so, yeah, they've got to figure that out. But I was really happy for you. I like Jared Mayo. I want the Patriots now to win again, but just be like spunky win, not like win a bunch of Super Bowls.
And as your economics lesson for the week, as far as uniforms go, that's why you see teams with new uniforms, like with the Giants, going back to their original uniforms from 100 plus years ago.
Yeah,
it's all marketing. It's all, hey, can we sell this? Will this make us more money? You and I loved the Seahawks when they played the Broncos yesterday, wearing their old uniforms.
Yep.
And then who else did we like? Oh, well, we always love the Browns. They look great in their traditional uniforms. Those are beautiful. But yeah, like the Dolphins, they're when they're all white, which they typically wear at home. But I still wish they went back to their original all white uniforms, because that still looks better than what they have now. What they had was okay, I guess, but it still is not that good. But I can see from a business perspective, it sells.
Yep. All right. So the game is about to start. Of course, the new kickoff rules, which everybody was bitching about in preseason.
Yep.
And yesterday there was a touchdown. DJ Dallas got a touchdown on a kickoff return, and we saw multiple kickoff returns. I think it's going to be awesome. I think people are going to end up loving it. Speaking of uniform game, are you getting the game good over there?
Is it starting?
Yeah, they're kicking off right now.
Okay.
That's what I just said. I said load up. We're kicking off.
Yeah.
But this is a beautiful uniform game.
Yeah.
Are you not playing it on your computer?
Well, I have it on my computer, but it's not playing.
Just hit refresh. And sometimes that's the one thing about ESPN Plus. By the way, you might be watching this ESPN Plus if you know they're having DirecTV battles. The one negative is that sometimes the stream will just stop. You have to refresh, or like if you move it over to another page and come back, it's dead. But this is a beautiful game, except for, I don't know if this is bad or not.
Oh, got it.
The Jets are wearing green pants, and I don't hate it.
Yeah, I typically, as you and I know, I mean, you being a Texas Longhorn fan, their road jerseys are
Stormtrooper look.
Yeah, Stormtrooper, yeah. Jets, a lot of times when they are on the road, they'll do the Stormtrooper or their version of Stormtrooper with the green. But yeah, it's that is more of a traditional look with the green pants.
Yeah, I like
that.
It
Is their tradition. So when I was a kid growing up in the 90s, that was their traditional road.
Before Parcells came and went back to the old school.
Yeah. So the Richie Kotite.
Yeah.
And who was the coach before Richie Kotite? He was
Bruce Coslett.
Bruce Coslett.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
former
former Bengal offensive coordinator, really good head coach. Yeah, it just didn't work out. But yeah, he was a good offensive mind for sure. But yeah, mine just loading, but whatever.
Is it still loading?
It's like refreshing, I guess. I see Kyle Shanahan. He's growing a lot of gray hairs. So,
No, that's Nick Sorsen, the defensive coordinator.
Well, while it's refreshing, it's looking at Shaq.
Oh, I see.
So, for all you psych majors, this means that Kyle Shanahan is stressing because I think he feels like it's a make or break season for him as well.
I mean, it has to be. So going back to what you're talking about, uniforms, I like teams that run them all out. Like I like that Cleveland, you might not get the same look back to back, that you're going to get all their looks. I think if you're smart as a franchise and you have multiple looks in today's era where you are allowed, and the Jets are going to go,
I like this.
Yeah, you just got it, didn't you?
I just got it.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers is still standing, even though it is a 3-and-out. So that's a win for the Jets. That's a drop pass too. You got to catch those. Randall Cobb will be a Jet here soon. You got to watch it. But I like the teams that have multiple looks and they run them out. I wish the Jets would still also pay homage to what was the classic look, then became the current look, you know, and do that once a week. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with the Texans, man. They were the noon o'clock game. I thought both them and Indy are going to be competitive this year, and I think that game showed it. It was an exciting game. It was a fun game, and we talked about it on our fantasy show, which, by the way, you can check out on our Patreon, patreon.com/@L4 Media Company. Joe Mixon in that run game, if they stick to that, holy crap, the Texans might legitimately be a Super Bowl team.
2024 week 1 warning. It is just week 1.
Yep.
So let's not have any overreactions or underreactions. Let's just take it for what it is.
Good point.
For week 1, great first game for Joe Mixon. Great first game for Stephon Diggs.
Yep, 100%.
Danielle Hunter, maybe because Mixon had such a great game, wasn't recognized as much. And so I really didn't see him show up that much. I know Azeez Al-Shaair had a pretty good game for the Texans. But yeah, Danielle Hunter was the big pass rushing signing for the Texans. And he, is supposed to just help them get over the hump of like the Baltimores and Kansas Cities. And he'll show up later in the year.
Yeah.
This is a good game 1. I like what Houston did. I like their resiliency. They were faced with some pressure on 4th down late in the game, and I like that DeMeco Ryans had so much faith in the team that he went for it and they converted. I like everything. Stroud, there's a running joke that the Houston Texans are called the Houston Strouds because he is that much of him. Like what Jimmy Butler was called during the pandemic. During that playoff run, he is him. He is the guy. He is that one you don't want to mess with, and that is the ultimate compliment to give to a star player, especially a rookie from last season. So.
Yeah, he threw for 234 yards, 24 of 32, 2 touchdowns, both to Stephon Diggs. We joked when we were getting ready for the show this afternoon, you got to keep Stephon Diggs happy in one of 2 ways, either a ton of passes or touchdowns.
Yep.
And I think him being that third option, and not really third, but on certain routes when you've got, Nico Collins and Tank Dell, I think they're just going to be that big. We were saying, man, Dalton Schultz, he's the guy that people are going to forget about. I mean, he was 3 catches, 16 yards, and he's like 4th or 5th now on the list of who you're looking to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
I think this Texan, and we thought it going into the season, this game didn't change our view. I think the Texans are the real deal. They have to avoid injury.
Yeah.
And they have to avoid getting complacent at times because this was a game where, Houston, at times they were moving the ball, but they weren't finishing drives until the 4th quarter when they got 2 touchdowns. For the Colts, this is the most Anthony Richardson game you're going to get. I mean, the one negative about them shutting him down last year is they burned a year because you're seeing what we would have seen last year as a rookie. You're going to see those bumps and bruises. But my God, when he throws a pass like he did on that touchdown that the ball went through the air for like 66 yards. You can see, and by the way, Indianapolis secretly has a really, really solid roster. Like they've really rebuilt well.
For football fanatics like us, you got Anthony Richardson at quarterback. You got Jonathan Taylor at running back. I love the receiving core because you got Alex Pierce. You got Michael Pittman Jr., who's they're going to be their number one receiver, possession receiver, big guy. And then you got Donnie Mitchell.
Who should have had, like, if Richardson hits the two wide open Mitchell, he's probably the rookie wide receiver everybody's talking about because he'd have had 3 catches, 2 touchdowns, and like 170 yards.
Yeah.
And again, that's the good and bad of Richardson. We saw the one when he hits Alec Pierce for the big touchdown for 60 yards. But then you also see when he struggles and he can't hit wide open guys.
If Anthony Richardson plays the whole year, this guy will be way different come week 12.
I agree.
I think, and different for the better. This guy has a lot of talent. He just needs more in-game experience.
Yep, 100%. The Jets forced the Niners to, as you can tell in we have the box score up. The Jets forced the Niners to punt, so the Jets take over for their second time of the night. They got the ball at their own 30-yard line. Good defensive possessions for both teams. We're talking about this game, and we'll bounce back forward. For Aaron, we got a fumble, and the Niners will get the first turnover of the game.
Oh, wow.
But, the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be, I don't care if he's 100% healthy. He's old now. You're going to have to protect him. That's going to be the biggest thing. If you can't protect him, he's going to get killed. And so that's going to be the thing. I'm curious if that's going to be a catch or not. Yeah, 1, 2. Yeah, that's Fred Warner. My God. Talk about linebacker envy last year.
Yeah.
I would love to have Fred Warner. Look at that. The punch drill. One of I think the best inside linebacker in football right now.
Rodgers complimented him a few years ago, but I think he was also taking a shot at someone else when he was doing that. I can't remember who the linebacker was. But yeah, he was saying Fred Warner was the best linebacker in football. So yeah, he definitely gets a lot of praise in the league.
But going back to the Texans, again, it's just about being consistent week to week, consistent inside the game.
Yep.
That's where Joe Mixon adds that extra that they didn't have at times last year. Is okay, the passing game ain't working this quarter. All right, we can lean on Joe Mixon. He's going to get it. Now, I'm like you said it best in the fantasy. I need to see more than one game at 30 carries because, again, one of the negatives on the Texans last year, and you can make the case, well, they didn't have a great running game. They abandoned the run early. And that's really everybody in the NFL now. Every team goes into the week saying, we're going to run the ball more. And 9 times out of 10, the winner runs the ball more and the loser doesn't. And then in the post game, we should have ran the ball more. You're in the moment. Call the damn play. Run the ball.
It's just because of experience, what they're used to. They're used to just passing the ball. That gives them the highest percentage of success. So they're going to keep on doing it. I don't get it, but I understand it. But like I just at some point I'm thinking, okay, you're getting all this money, you have all this talent around you. Just diversify. Don't be a one-dimensional offense. Don't be a one-dimensional defense.
Yep.
There's plenty of ways to win. Just be humble enough to adapt.
Oh, and just, stick to what I know we're in a new era, but, you can still win with the running game being a big part of your offense. The Texans will host the Bears in their first in the game 2, first game at home for Houston. Wow. San Francisco Jets defense is going to hold them to a field goal attempt.
Great job. I think we were talking about how the first points would be scored. And I was thinking it'd be a touchdown by the Jets, but it ends up possibly being a field goal by the 49ers. Jake Moody, second year kicker from the Michigan Wolverines.
Yep.
Michigan Wolverines were coached by Jim Harbaugh at that time period, who had a really good game against the Raiders in the most Harbaugh fashion. And up and good.
You love the Jim Harbaugh kick field goals.
That's how I play when I was playing video.
I hate it. I hate the conservative kick field goals.
When I was playing video games back in the day, that's how I would play. I would have a pretty solid defense. I would run the ball, control the clock, and have a couple of receivers that were good possession receivers that would move the chains. He got his guy Ladd McConkey, who scored a touchdown.
Yeah, he did. Good start for him.
And he's just hoping Josh Palmer and Kenton Johnson will somehow emerge as a wide receiver too. Right now, they don't really have much depth at receiver. Hopefully, maybe in the future they will. But yeah, he has a gunslinger in Herbert. And Herbert's not going to like this offense come week 8 or 9. But
Oh no, that's why he won't be the starting quarterback for the Chargers for long.
But if Harbaugh plays it right and has Herbert buy into it for this season, come next year, someone's going to really want Herbert, and the trade value is going to be there.
Yep.
And I could definitely see Herbert being on a. I can't really specify what team it'll be. Maybe the Giants, maybe someone else in the AFC. I could see the Chargers trading him to somewhere in the other conference.
Oh, they'll trade. I don't think that matters as much. They'll trade him wherever gets the number one, who gives him the best draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they trade him in the AFC West unless it was Pirates gold. Like, if the Raiders, which would do this, give them 5 first rounds or something.
The Raiders would be actually, not ironically, but yeah, it's because they're division rivals. They would be a really good trade target.
Yeah. And the reason we're saying this, if you didn't catch it, is because Jim Harbaugh does not want to throw the ball 40 times a game. Jim Harbaugh doesn't want to throw it 25 if he can help it. And I don't think at the end of the day, he is going to, you say about Herbert, I don't think Harbaugh thinks that Herbert's his quarterback. Now, maybe he changes. Maybe that changes, but I just feel like he's going to want the same type of quarterback that he won with the Niners.
Yeah.
An athletic guy who can move around, who, runs a lot of what San Francisco does run-wise. A lot of that, Kyle Shanahan gleaned from the Jim Harbaugh days.
Yeah.
And using that. And I just don't think Herbert fits what he wants. So why not trade him? Because I think, what is this, his 4th year?
I think 5th year. He's going into year 5.
This
is year 5.
Did he sign an extension? Or is he on his rookie deal?
He actually signed an extension.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But I think it would make sense for them to trade him because he's not who Jim Harbaugh is going to want.
Yeah, but you gotta not admit that publicly.
Oh yeah, of course.
Which Harbaugh has done that. Harbaugh has played the political game well. I think he's been praising Herbert. He had a decent week 1. Not up to his standard, not to Herbert's standards, but it was still good. And you just need a few games where he's getting you 200, 300 yards, and that the trade value will be there.
I'm trying to find their box score. Here it is. And again, they're playing a team that, the Raiders are not having to do much offensively, but he was a very efficient 17 for 26 for 1 touchdown, 144 yards. Again, J.K. Dobbins was the star of that game with 135 yards on the ground. Ladd McConkey had 5 catches for 39, but this is what you like to see. Quentin Johnson had 1 less yard with 2 less catches. So you're setting up that, they've got a really underrated tight end in Hayden Hurst who doesn't get used a lot. But I think in this offense he could. And then you've got, McConkey be your possession guy, as you were talking about, and then Quentin Johnson, the former TCU wide receiver.
Malik Collins making a play.
Yep. I've never understood why he grades out so bad by PFF. Like, it makes no sense to me. But anyway, so the Texans will take on the Bears in week 2. That's going to be interesting because the Bears look like shit. Like, just look terrible offensively.
Yeah.
And yet they score 17 points in the second half without an offensive touchdown. As Denny Green once said, they are who we thought they are. Caleb Williams at times looked good, at times didn't. But more importantly, the Bears, Will Levis sucks really bad. And it's the whole reason why I don't understand your belief in the Titans this year. And that game showed it because the Titans roster is not bad. Yeah. And for 3/4 of the game, the Titans roster played well enough to win. And Will Levis handed that game over.
They didn't lose because of Calvin Ridley or Tony Pollard or L'Jarius Sneed.
Tony Pollard had a great first half.
Or Chidobe Awuzie or Cushenberry on the offensive line.
Okay, now you're just making up names.
No, they didn't lose.
Latingle-McBerry.
Hingle McCringleberry.
Yep.
No, they didn't lose because of any of the free agents I just mentioned that made me a believer in the Titans possibly doing well this season, along with their new head coach in Callahan. I assume that Levis would take a next step and play better. But again, this is week 1. We don't know how good the Bears are on defense. We don't know how good Levis can be throughout the rest of the season.
But that interception pick-6 is one of the worst.
It was pretty bad.
I mean, it was like it's unforgivable. I mean, this is not a year one guy. This is a year two guy who played a lot last year. It's not like he barely played.
Hey, especially for someone that has had a whole off season.
Yeah.
Going in, he knew he was going to be the starter. Someone that's a strong arm quarterback.
Yeah, he does have a cannon.
Throwing that floater over there to the side.
Well, the floor, trying to go underhand, trying to Aaron Rodgers it, Brett McFarland, however you want to call it. It's just like, dude, that is so stupid.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to hurt the Titans. But anyway, for the Texans, it's a great test because the Bears have a solid defense. Even whether Levis was there or not, Pollard had a good first quarter, had a touchdown, and then the Bears kind of locked it down. And it's going to be a good test. And again, the bigger test for the Texans is just continually being consistent. Do what you did next week again, but I like them in that game. I think the Texans will win that game, and they might even win it comfortably because I do think the Texans defense is good enough to give Caleb Williams enough problems. I think Caleb Williams is going to be good, but it's going to take some time.
And I actually think the Titans overall will be fine for the rest of the season as long as
if 4 wins is fine.
Hey, I think they get to close to 9.
I just don't see it, man. Unless they bring back Ryan Tannehill. Ooh.
He's a free agent.
We're just talking about that. I was curious. Let's say like a Jordan Love would have been hurt for a few weeks because they don't really have a good backup. They have and they just traded. For
Malik
him.
Willis.
Yeah, Malik Willis,
former
Titan. Yeah, you can't tell me Ryan Tannehill isn't on speed dial because he's good enough.
Yeah,
he's gonna. What his limitations are, but he can still. He can still throw for 280 if you get in the right game. You and I will just continue to disagree about that till happens. I think the Titans are going to be historically bad because of their quarterback. I like a lot of their roster, but you can't in this league. You can't fake it with bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I like everything else they've done to that roster. Moving. Yeah, Jets are moving. Aaron Rodgers is upright. No, because
he didn't get the vaccine.
Yeah. I like everything else the Titans have done, but for week 1, I was not impressed with the quarterback play. So we'll see. Again, week 1. Let's see how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah, he's going to start throwing dimes all of a sudden. All right. So speaking of week 1, and we didn't know what they were going to do. You and I talked about this a bunch in the offseason on our happy hours, on our NFC preview show. We didn't have a good read on the Cowboys this year, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, neither one of us did. And usually you and I mean, like the last 3 years, we've literally called their win-loss record to a T. Yeah. Before we were doing the show, when we were just talking, we were really good about like in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
This was the first time in almost 10 years I didn't have a read on Dallas. I still don't have a read on Dallas, but they go to Cleveland, a game. A lot of people said, Cleveland's going to win this. Now, I know Cleveland had a couple offensive linemen out. And, of course, Nick Chubb is out. Yeah. And Deshaun Watson's massaging somebody or being massaged. But I thought for game 1, Dallas looked really, really good. And more importantly, defensively, not only performed well, but looked defensively and schematically sound.
I agree with you that part. My only concern with what happened yesterday is it was eerily similar to what happened last year.
Why is that a bad thing, though? You keep saying that. They go 12-5 last year.
Yeah, but the schedule was a lot weaker than it was than we had anticipated it being.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they outshined. They shined a lot against the bad teams last season, and they were mediocre against the semi-good to good teams.
Okay, real quick. So they've got the Saints, the Ravens, the Giants, the Steelers. That's their next 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3-1 record. 4-0 if you have a good game. I mean, that's that easily. I mean, you could even make the case that should be a 3-1 record.
Should be, yeah. Again, this is week 1. I was happy with the win. I was kind of shocked by the win.
Yeah,
I was kind of shocked. Not per se the win,
but like you said, it happened a lot, like eerily a lot like last year.
Yeah, last year. So last year it was a Sunday night game. Cowboys going to the Giants. Giants had made the playoffs in 2022, won a playoff game at Minnesota. So there was a lot of expectations going into 2023 for the Giants. Of course, as we know now, that didn't happen. That didn't translate to success. I'm sorry, I'm boring you.
Oh, no, that's alcohol.
And then they had a pretty bad week 1 yesterday. So, but with the Browns, they were one of the best AFC teams. They were just in the best division of football. They were 11-6, made the playoffs. They still considerably have the best defense.
Using 5 quarterbacks last year.
Using 5 quarterbacks. So the assumption is you have Deshaun Watson healthy for the whole season. That they could be a Super Bowl contender, dare I say.
And if he plays well, they really can be.
But the problem was, even when he wasn't pressured, he didn't play well.
He's lost it, dude. Whatever it is, mojo, confidence, the hangover of all the accusations and just dealing with that. The Jets just score as Breece Hall puts it into the end zone, and the Jets offensively found something in that drive. So with 3:51 left in the first quarter, the New York Jets lead the San Francisco Niners, or as Grant says, the Niners plus 20, as we were pending the extra point. But yeah, whatever the reason is, Deshaun Watson's lost it. And I don't know if it's coming back.
Yeah, I don't know if it's coming back. I mean, he's had a lot of time to heal, and it's just not there. He kind of reminds me of Cam Newton. I'm not sure.
That's a good. No, I mean, not the off the field, but like once Cam Newton had that, and that's the thing. It's a shoulder injury as well.
Yeah,
and I think maybe we all do get a little bit lost in his off the field issues, pressure, confidence. It might simply be physically that shoulder's gone.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened. Cam Newton didn't stop being a good quarterback. Cam Newton stopped being able to throw the ball like he could.
Yeah.
And you could go look at his passing, just the way he threw the ball in, say, 2015 to 2018. And he went from and he never had the prettiest form, but he had a long form, that arm stretched out to where he was short arming because he couldn't get that shoulder up. And that's a really good point. That might be the issue with Deshaun Watson, his shoulder. Because, people will point to, well, yeah, he was 8-4 last year. Yeah, but go look at those stats. Yeah. He had like one good game in that. Yeah. That was the defense and the running game, mainly the defense. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm more impressed with this game than last year, because the Giants were terrible offensively and defensively. The Browns are still good defensively. And at times, including like the first pass play of the season for the Dallas Cowboys, they gave Dallas a lot of problems yesterday. And I liked how Dallas figured it out. I don't know. I'm not like, I'm supposed to be the Randy Quaid from Major League 2 the whole year. But being honest, I was very impressed with that win. Doesn't mean they're going to run the table. They're going to finally. I'm just saying, inside the moment for that game, they went on the road to a team that has a lot of upside, who feel that this is their year, and they not only won, but they kind of dominated.
Other things I like from this game were a slimmer Ezekiel Elliott,
looked a little bit quicker.
Free agent acquisition Eric Kendricks, part of the all-in process.
Probably the NFC Player of the Week this week.
Yeah, he had 2 sacks and an interception.
11 tackles, was all over the field. It was nice.
That was Overshown, I think.
What?
The 11 tackles.
Oh, I thought Kendrick had 11 too.
Maybe,
but still, the 2 sacks and an interception will be big enough to. At that point,
Overshown, Overshown had 11 tackles.
How many did Kendrick have?
Kendrick has 9.
Okay,
so
9. Yeah, 9 tackles.
Yeah, you're way off, sir.
Yeah, way off. How dare me?
Yeah.
It was nice to have linebackers play linebacker.
Yeah.
And
linebackers were linebackering?
Yeah, they were linebackering and playing well.
Oh.
It was beautiful to see DeMarcus Lawrence setting the edge and getting 2 sacks, by the way.
And 4 quarterback hits.
4 quarterback hits. And again, I know the Browns have a good offensive line. 2 of them were out, but Dallas was starting 2 rookies. And I thought Tyler Guyton looked really good. He gave up a sack, gave up 4 pressures, all to Myles Garrett.
I will take that.
Yeah, you tell me every game that you play Myles Garrett, you're going to give up 1 sack, 4 pressures, and he really isn't a big part of the game. Like he was, like Micah Parsons had 1 sack.
Yeah,
Micah Parsons, I think, had 9 pressures. But more importantly, Micah Parsons is why DeMarcus Lawrence directly got one of his sacks.
There needs to be a new stat that we follow outside of sacks, because what Micah Parsons did yesterday, it wasn't as good as what TJ Watt did in the Falcon game.
Yeah.
But it was comparable. It was in the fact that he was in the backfield. He was giving Watson all kinds of fits. He was dominating a very good Cleveland Browns offensive line. So that's the thing I take most from this.
And I think that's I think what people use now is the pass rush win rate.
Yeah.
And last year he was number one by a huge stretch.
Mhm.
In fact, he has been number one every year that he's been in the league.
Mhm.
And you just wonder, is he going to be one of those guys that his average is so good, he's always being an all pro and all, but he never quite gets to like the defensive player of the year because somebody else will always just have a little bit better year? I don't care. But, you know, what I was impressed with him too is he played the run at times well. It wasn't always just Parsons to the quarterback. And that's the thing you and I talked about. I will take less sacks if you give me 6 more impactful run plays in the season. I'll take 6 sacks off and do that happily. I'll be happy if he was 10 sacks and 100 tackles.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think at the end of the day, they're going to end up using him as a down rusher 9 times out of 10, but I like that. I like the pass rush from them. I liked how the corners played. And again, but it's against Deshaun Watson. Now, the crazy thing is who they play this week. It's literally kind of the same thing. Derek Carr could go out and run or throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns like he almost did against the Panthers, or he could throw for 140 yards and 4 interceptions. I don't think you're going to get – I don't think until they play the Ravens, the Niners, the Lions in the coming few weeks, I don't think we're going to know what the Dallas defense is going to be against the pass.
Yeah, I don't think we will again because it's week 1.
But even week 2 and week 3. And that's the one good thing about when Deron Bland got hurt. You could say that he's the 4 or 5 games that they're playing, you're not fearing that passing game as much as we will be later on when we're playing, you know, the Niners again, the Eagles, those type of teams.
I would say good game 1 for Kalen Carson. Rookie.
Very good.
Yeah, rookie that stepped in because Deron Bland was out at cornerback. And they had a pretty good game. So let's see what they do next week when they have their home opener against the New Orleans Saints.
I like that we saw Zimmer be aggressive with his secondary, though. I was so worried that he would be more of the zone and shell. And I'm fine with that, but that's not what Dallas has now.
Right.
Dallas has guys that are going to thrive. And look, Trayvon Diggs, yeah, the interception was nice, but just how he played all game, his first game back from a knee injury, I thought he looked better in just pure coverage than he has looked all his whole career.
Yeah, I remember you and I were talking about he had a great 21 where he had like 11 interceptions or whatever. It was a ridiculous number. But you and I were both impressed with this following season in 22 because his pass coverage seemed to have improved, which is long term, that's going to be the more important factor. Playmaking, get the interceptions, but be able to every down, be able to shut down or be able to just be around the guy you're covering. That's just very key.
Yeah, and it's huge because you've got, and that was the one negative of 2021 is he gave up some big players.
Yeah,
they were talking about there was only so many players that have been named first team All Pro in their first 3 years, and Sauce Gardner and Micah Parsons. That's how good. And there's some people trying to claim that Micah Parsons doesn't deserve a big payday and stuff like that. Like you sign him.
Oh no, I mean there's 35 teams that would want Micah Parsons, and there's only 32 teams in the NFL. There's a lot. He is one of the most coveted players in football. And I go to different YouTube channels or social media channels where they talk about sports, and he's always up there among him and TJ Watt and a couple other guys among the players every team would kill for.
Grant says he has his laptop under the blanket watching you. Wink, wink. So he's a big fan of yours, intern Noe.
This Grant Gibbs guy's a little creepy.
I think we might need to call it L4 Media Security.
Yeah.
Speaking of me and Grant, a different Grant, I promise you, we do sideline to sideline high school football each and every Tuesday. So
I don't like that guy either. But
he's a punk.
I really like y'all's show.
He's a punk. Yeah, he's a big punk. All right, so where do you want to go now? By the way, it's 7-3 in the first quarter, almost into the first quarter.
The Jets, Jets. So we can go let's go back to Thursday. The first game.
Let's go. Great game to start the year, by the way.
Kansas City hosts the Baltimore Ravens, a rematch of the AFC title game, but instead of in Baltimore, it's in Kansas City. Chiefs come in with your boy Xavier Worthy from UT, with controversial guy that comes from the DFW area and Rashae Rice. They come in looking like the best team since the 90 49ers as far as a team that could possibly three-peat.
I keep forgetting that. Like, I keep forgetting that they could possibly repeat. I don't know why. I remember who wins all the Super Bowls, but it's because they remind me a lot of the 80 or the 99ers. They do things so seamless, you just kind of take for granted they're going to be there.
And this is a team that transformed in a few years from offensive first to really defensive first, but now they're going back because they got Xavier Worthy. They got a playmaking receiver in the Tyreek Hill mold. Eventually, they got someone that can take pressure off of their Hall of Fame tight end Travis Kelce, and Isaiah Pacheco doesn't seem to be slowing down at running back. You and I, from watching Marion Barber, rest in peace. Running back that's that physical has a short shelf life, but so far he is there. They got another running back. He's really a fullback, but he's listed as a backup to Pacheco. Carson Steele, I believe, is his name. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was just wrap it up. It's the end of the first quarter, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a break real quick. We're going to have a couple of breaks here so we can kind of do some, potty breaks and all that. End of the first quarter, the Jets lead the Niners 7-3, and we'll be back to continue the Thursday night game talk right here on I'll Drink the Coverage Monday Night Football Happy Hour. And that means it's bug season. Heck, who am I kidding? It's always bug season in Texas. And that's why you need Grandeur Pest Solutions in your corner. They're locally owned and operated. They're trained, they're trustworthy, and they have a proven record as they have been in business for almost 10 years. They provide pest control against ants, bed bugs, bees, roaches, fleas, wasps, mosquitoes, rodents, spiders. If it crawls and you don't like it, they're probably going to take care of it for you. Now, they serve all of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they're locally owned. These two guys have been running this business since 2013, and every year they get bigger and bigger. But you know what they still do? They still have great customer service. In fact, if you get a hold of them, they're usually going to have your quote and your job ready to go within 48 hours. That's pretty good. Now, you can call them for a free estimate at 469-809-1769. You can find them online at Grandeur4, that's the number 4, shore.com. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in Grandeur Pet Solutions, and we are so happy that they're title sponsor for Outdrink the Coverage in 2023. We talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. All right, Terry been back here as intern Noe the Pro as we're looking over our stuff as it is the end of the first quarter. The Jets, very impressive. They took a couple drives. They had a fumble.
Yep.
Their defense was able to hold the Niners to a field goal. And then the Jets on that last drive, Aaron Rodgers went 6 of 7 for 51 yards. Mainly, again, I think the biggest thing is keeping him his shirt clean, as they say. I don't care how good the Achilles tendon is. He's 20 years now.
Yeah.
He's not as mobile. They've got to protect him. And so far against a really good San Francisco defense, they've done just that.
Oh, they invested in the offseason. They got one of our boys, Tyrone Smith. So.
Hey, he's going to be great the 13 games he played.
Yeah.
and I genuinely love Tyrone Smith. He is one of my favorites. He is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be all that. Oh, nice move here. Who is that? I can't tell who that is.
I'm seeing the first play for the 49ers coming into the second quarter. I'm a little bit on a delay.
Oh, no, that's what I'm seeing too. That just happened. It's 4th down. Was that Debo?
I see 3rd and 5 right here.
Oh, so you are behind. Is Debo 1 now?
It looks like Debo's number 1. Yeah,
I didn't know. Was he always 1? I can't pretend I remember every.
For some reason, I thought like 19.
I did too.
He must have changed his number.
But it also has a anyway. But yeah, so once again, the Jets 3 and out the Niners. This is a really impressive start defensively, and we knew the Jets were going to be good. Look, all the jokes aside about Aaron Rodgers, the Jets last year had one of the most talented rosters in the league.
Yeah. They were just a quarterback away, and that's why they were 7-10 instead of the 12-5 I predicted. A quarterback is still a quarterback-driven league, even with Breece Hall. Zach Wilson ended up not being the guy you wanted to have it as a starting quarterback, and then everybody else behind Zach Wilson just wasn't, up to par.
And speaking of the big mistake they made last year was not having someone as a backup that in case the older guy who'd been in the league at that time, 19-year-old, I don't know, blew an Achilles on the first drive.
Yeah.
Because in fact, I'm really surprised everything stayed the same.
Yeah.
With that offense because I felt like they, even with Rodgers being hurt, if they'd have just had a solid number 2 quarterback, they'd have still made the playoffs.
That's why I was happy with some team like the Patriots who got Jacoby Brissett. I just thought that was just a great veteran signing, and he's going to start this season. Poor him, because the Patriots do not have a good offensive line. He almost broke his ribs. It looked like he had a back injury in this one game against the Cincinnati Bengals. They ended up winning, so kudos to the Patriots, but. Yeah, there is a benefit to having a good veteran backup. I remember, watching the Cowboys in the 90s, having a Wade Wilson or Jason Garrett be there as a back, Rodney Peete, Bernie Kosar. There was really a lot of good backup quarterbacks, and that's a very valuable position. I'm happy right now that the Cowboys have Cooper Rush.
Well, 2 years ago, when Dak got hurt,
yeah,
or was that 3 years ago now? When Dak got hurt, Cooper Rush kept them afloat. We thought the season was over.
Yeah.
The Cowboys played like crap that first game. They got beat. Dak got hurt. I remember us doing the show like, hey, which we're fine doing when they're bad, because sometimes they're bad. Hey, we'll just have to start focusing on the rest of the NFL.
Yeah.
And then Cooper Rush goes, 4-1? Now you started to see the 5th and 6th game, teams were figuring him out. The Eagles figured him out. Well, I say that.
And I think that was his last game too.
Yeah, that was all in the first half. In the second half, he did almost bring Dallas back.
Yeah.
But that's something people forget about that Sunday night game. They remember that it was like 17-0, but they forget they got them back into one possession. But
people remember the 2022 Eagles were they won the NFC. That was a really good team, special team with Hargrave and Reddick, all these great talent on defense. So yeah, it was a really good team. And Shane Steichen as offensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, a defensive coordinator. So it was well coached and talent. It was talent and coaching meet together to form a great harmony. So yeah.
So, by the way, intern Noe, studio food is on the way.
Oh,
be here in about an hour.
All right, sounds good to me.
So, by the way, the Niners also get a field goal. This is where the Niners are so good. I say they've been outplayed this quarter in 3 minutes, and yet they're only 1 point behind.
And for me, when I think of that usually is the recipe for disaster for the Jets, because a team that hasn't played well but is still within striking distance usually is going to figure it out before the buzzer sounds, so to speak. I really think this is going to be a long game. This is going to be a close game. 49ers are not going to go away.
All right, so I asked you at the beginning of the show, but I'll ask you again now. Outside of the Cowboys and Texans, outside of the Chargers, we talked about them. Mm-hmm. We talked Thursday night. What other things stood out to you about yesterday or Thursday too? If you still want to continue that, what else stood out to you?
The Isaiah Likely toe touch.
Oh, that was tough, man.
Yeah, that was a really tough call.
What did you think about the fact that the Ravens were going for 2?
I didn't believe they were actually going to do it. I think they were just trying to see the defensive alignment for the Chiefs.
Oh, I think they were. Why not? You're on the road. Go for 2.
Man, it would be a good confidence boost for that team, since they always seem to be that group of players, or that team that's having a hard time to get over the hump. And it's been a while since Harbaugh's made it to the Super Bowl. John Harbaugh, the head coach for the Ravens.
He's only made it to 1. It's not like he's made it to a bunch.
They won the 2012 season. Now it's 2024.
Joe Flacco went godlike on everybody for one playoff run.
Yeah.
One of the great. We will eventually do a look back at the great quarterback playoff runs. Yeah. And Joe Flacco was right there. Like, you could make the case legitimately it's number 1.
Yeah.
People will go, oh, the defense. No, go look at that run. Yeah. And also that 2012 Ravens defense was not the same Ravens defense that we'd all. They were starting to show leaks at that point.
Yeah, 2008 to 2014, Joe Flacco in the playoffs was Hall of Famer.
Yep.
It's just crazy how good he was in the playoffs versus how mediocre he was during the regular season.
Well, he wasn't mediocre, but Aaron Rodgers going deep. Nobody's back there. I feel like part of that was, again, the Ravens system style. It never allowed him. He is one of those guys that we saw last year.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco needed to throw. Some quarterbacks are efficient. And then Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco take my heart because they're going to throw it 40 times. If they throw 5 interceptions, as long as they throw 6 touchdowns, they're perfectly fine with that. I miss that.
Speaking of, eat the wins, how long do you think it's going to be for the Cleveland Browns to turn to Jameis Winston?
That's a good question, actually. We joke, but we were talking about this before. I don't think Watson has a long leash. You can lose this game. It sucks that you lose at home, but again, you lost to the NFC team. It's the one type of loss. Again, we all say that now. If they finish tied with teams, that can hurt them. But for the most part, when it comes to tiebreakers, that's the last one. So you can lose that. But let me see who they play. Let me see their schedule, and I think this will decide a lot of it. Mm-hmm. All right, so they got the Jaguars, the Giants. Oh boy, they're going to be. Okay, so they're going to be fine. They've got the Giants, the Jaguars. I could see them going 0-2. In fact, I think they will. Yeah. But then they've got the Giants, the Raiders, and Washington. So they're going to be at worst 3-2.
Yeah.
Now, they then get the Eagles, Bengals, Ravens, and Chargers. If they come out of that Ravens game and they're at 500 or less and he has struggled, I think you have to make a change.
Yeah.
Because they have got a roster outside of quarterback that can win the AFC, that can legitimately win a Super Bowl, especially with Nick Chubb coming back, as long as Chubb is at least 90% of what he was.
And if David Njoku comes back healthy too, that's going to be
a good point.
It's going to be a lethal roster. You need someone that can get the ball downfield. And then for 1 week, didn't seem like Watson could be that guy. We know he has the capability. We know he has the tools to do it, but he just didn't show it in week 1. But we know Winston has no fear, zero miedo.
And I think you need that in that scheme. I mean, Joe Flacco, for all the talk about what Joe Flacco did, it was fun. It wasn't like he was perfect. He had some really stinky games.
Yeah.
But you said it best. He just kept throwing. By the way, Tyron Smith gave up a sack. Like I said, that's a bum.
Oh, boy.
Cut him. Come on back to the Dallas. We could use a right tackle.
Replace Terrence Steele.
You got to feel bad. I said earlier, I said Brandon Steele. I meant Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele looked pretty good at right tackle. But
I thought he did a good job.
I think because of how knee surgeries are different now, I think people assume everybody comes back in 9 months, and that's just not how it was. That's not how it is. I think Michael Gallup's career got altered because of a knee injury. Yeah, because he wasn't a guy that got a lot of separation in the first place. He was a guy that went up and caught the ball. Well, then he lost a half step. I think Terrence Steele, it taken him longer to, and you got to realize, man, this playing offensive line, tackles, your knees, your ligaments are getting stretched because you're always extending. Your whole first step, 9 times out of 10 in a pass defense, if you're a right tackle, is your right leg is kicking out at a 90-degree angle. And if you have a bad knee, which Terrence still does, it takes time.
If you have a bad knee or a bad back, you just cannot play offensive line.
Yep.
Or defensive line, really.
Yep. And I mean, it's just how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the answer is if they get 6 games into the season, or no, wait, I'm sorry, let me make sure that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If they 7th game is the Ravens.
Okay.
If they go in and they lose to the Ravens, and especially if they lose to the Bengals, because then you're talking about you might even be 4-4, but you're 0-2 in the AFC Central or the North. I almost said Central. Oh, I missed the Central. You're 0-2 in the AFC North. You might have to be making a change, and I don't feel like the only thing that feels connected is that his salary. I don't feel like Watson's the quarterback. Did you feel the team in any way rally around him? Like there was a couple times he didn't help his offensive linemen up. There was a couple times they didn't help him up.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with him, but I think we all know what it is with him.
They can say whatever they want in interviews with the press, but actions speak louder than words. If I don't see several linemen going to pick up their quarterback after they got sacked, that's a problem to me.
No, you're 100% right, dude. And when there was a couple times when like Parsons and them were barking at him, nobody's coming to his,
Yeah.
his protection. Anyway,
So outside of Thursday,
can I talk about Friday?
I was about to talk about, but go ahead.
Saw a great high school game. No. First off, the NFL don't play on Friday. I know why you had to. Brazil, it's Saturday, whatever.
Yeah.
But don't play on Friday. I don't like it enough that colleges don't play on Friday. I mean that colleges
that
play on
might
Friday.
be a one. So I know they're gonna probably do Black Friday going forward.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna. No, Black Friday's fine. That's a little different. The whole day's off.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, we're gonna be at games anyway, but I'm fine with Black Friday.
Yeah.
That's a holiday. People are home. All that. You're in the playoffs in high school football in Texas, so not the whole state's in game. So that's fine, but not the first week of the season. But let's talk about the game. Everything about this, I know the NFL will la, but everything about this was a disaster. Not the game in of itself. The game was fine.
Yeah.
Good game. But the turf was terrible.
Yep.
Luckily, Jordan Love's injury wasn't because of the turf, by the way. He got his knee twisted. But just think if he would have been running and slid on, lost his footing. But Jordan Love, it looks like dodged a bullet. It feels like that's the big injury news of the week is a lot of impactful players have knee injuries, but not as bad as it could be. Jake Ferguson, tight end for the Cowboys. I thought when the way he went down, like, oh, he's out. He's gone.
Yeah.
But apparently he dodged a bullet actually week to week, though I bet they give him a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, as they're saying, probably 4 to 6 weeks. That's not great, but perfectly fine. The problem with them is maybe they're calling Ryan Tannehill. You can't go with Malik Willis.
They're gonna have to. I mean, it's gonna be hard for a quarterback to just learn a playbook in a few days.
Yeah, they can do that. Look, NFL playbooks are not different. I mean,
Joe
not much
Flacco
different.
did. Joe Flacco did last year, and he was winning a lot of games. So yeah, I understand that part, but it's just some. I mean, I guess it's better than starting Malik Willis. Unfortunately,
I mean, I think you know how bad it. I'm just saying. Joshua Dobbs came in and almost beat the Cowboys with the Titans, and he'd literally been there for 2 days.
Then the next year,
he did beat the Cowboys. Son of a bitch! I hate you, Joshua Dobbs.
With the lesser team in the Cardinals.
Looks like the dude from Barry. But no, dude, if Jordan Love, Jordan Love's gonna be out there saying 4 games.
Yeah.
If Malik Willis is absolutely terrible this week, there is no way somebody else isn't the starter because Green Bay does believe they're contending this year.
You meant Barry the TV show?
Yeah.
I still haven't watched it.
Oh, it's great. You'll know what I'm talking about soon. You'll be like, oh.
Yeah.
So we're going, especially because they're 0-1 and they have the Colts. And now the thing is this is their next 4 games. Colts, Titans, Vikings, Rams.
Okay.
If Malik Willis caused them to, in those 3 games or 4 games, to go 1-3, when you should easily, if you are the Green Bay Packers this year, you should be 4-1 after that game, or I'll say 3-2 because I'm big on the Rams, and we'll talk about the Rams in a little bit. So if he loses against the Colts and loses badly, I don't see how you don't have Ryan Tannehill or somebody like, I'm not necessarily saying Ryan, maybe a Trey Lance, maybe they bite and say, hey, Dallas, we'll give you a 2nd rounder for Trey Lance, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. But then part of me is like, why don't these teams just have a second viable quarterback?
Because quarterbacking is really hard, dude.
But there's like, there's Tannehill's available. He is a.
Yeah, no, I get you. I see what you mean. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
dude, I don't get it either.
Why don't the Raiders have Gardner Minshew and Ryan Tannehill? That's the thing I don't get. Like, he's not going to cost you too much money. You're going to bring him in for the veteran minimum because he ain't going to make the money he was making with Tennessee. But he'll definitely come in, and if he proves himself, you'll have to give him a contract. But it's a low risk.
Yeah, and Tannehill's at that age where you're not talking long term anyway. Like, you're just talking, hey, we need you to,
He's in his early 30s. Yeah, it's not going to be a big investment. Just sign somebody that's been proven in the NFL. Malik Willis is not proven.
Now, for the Raiders, I do understand it a little bit because I think they're kind of in a mini rebuild. They don't want to say that because they've only been in Vegas for 2 years now. You don't want to say that loud part, but I think that they don't mind, hey, if we're going to sit with Gard, and hey, if he gets us in playoff contention, great. But if he doesn't and we go 4-13, we're perfectly fine with that. But for Green Bay, a team that's like I like the idea of trading for Malik Willis if you're putting him like Dallas is with Trey Lance as your third quarterback, not as your second string. There's no way. I just don't get that. Shit, bring Deshaun Kaiser back. I mean, Jesus Christ. And he's terrible. The Niners are moving down the field now.
Yeah, I see them moving. Matriculating the ball
down the field. Jennings is underrated wide receiver. Again, San Francisco's lineup is so stacked, dude.
Hey, before Ayuk got the deal with the 49ers, I was going to start getting Jawan Jennings in a lot of fantasy leagues because he was going to be the WR2.
Yep.
Which meant
he's a good guy, though.
Touchdown 49ers.
Oh, you got ahead of me on that one. Nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, that's cool. Also, though, if you got buy guys, I mean, on buy, Jennings is a good, 1 week stopgap guy.
Oh, there's a flag.
Oh, really?
I have 8-11 left in the second quarter.
I have 8-14. Oh, yeah, there was that was easy.
Yeah. Holding.
God, he ran like Marion Barber. Well, technically not now. He runs more upright.
Oh, come on.
Let's do a drink to that.
Come on.
Let's do a drink.
All right.
Do a drink to Marion
the
Barber.
Barbarian.
Oh, we miss you.
Keep your AC on, boys.
His death is weird.
Yes, very weird.
Also, what people seem to forget was he had kind of went off the rails.
Yeah.
I don't think his death was a suicide, but I don't think it was necessarily just an accident either. I think there was probably some things going on in his head that made him think he needed to be doing all. Does that make sense?
Because he liked doing hot workouts.
Yes.
Where he would work out in high temperatures, like having a hot sauna, but you're working out while being in hot temperatures. And so I think that coupled with his mental health state kind of led him, in my opinion, to just not think about little
That's my
things.
point. That's my point. Because apparently he took a nap and he would. So from all accounts, he would not only work out and, like turn the AC off, he would turn the heater on.
Yeah.
And we're talking about in the middle of summer. I think he died in the middle of summer. And we're talking about the middle of summer. And I think that he just wasn't in a good place and he takes a nap and he just never wakes up because he basically overcooked himself. I mean, that's literally what it is. It's sad to say. Another flag. So the Niners got a first down after the holding call, which erased a touchdown, and another flag. So again, little things like this is the things when you're trying to be the Niners.
Yeah.
These are the things that will end up killing you. And yes, you're right. The first game doesn't matter. But how many times does the first game set trends?
Oh, a lot.
Like a ton.
Yeah.
And it'll be quiet twins. It'll be quiet.
Especially like with penalties, with
exactly
false start.
third down conversion, lack of red zone. Because you remember last year, the Cowboys struggled again, even in the Giants.
Yeah.
They struggled in the red zone.
Yep.
What became the prevalent thing for 90% of the year last year? They could not cash it in the red zone.
Yep.
And so, yes, the results might not matter, but a lot of times what happens in the game, and we're seeing the Niners, they're moving the ball well, but man, they're committing turnovers. And especially if they end up having to kick a field goal here instead of touchdown.
I will say with 7:30 left, they're in first and goal.
Okay. You're
So-
ahead of me.
So, they're matriculating the ball down the field. They're at the 2-yard line, so I think they're going to punch it in.
Who is 24?
For the 49ers?
Niners, yeah, the running back.
Oh, I don't know. I have to look it up.
He has looked good. Like if they want to go ahead and cut Christian McCaffrey when Dallas has the waiver priority, that'd be awesome. It's not Jeff Wilson Jr. or Mosfert. They're both in
So
Miami.
running back, right?
Yeah, 24.
Okay.
He's the guy that's got.
Jordan Mason?
Yep, that's it. Well, he has started out really well. I don't even know that name.
Georgia Tech guy.
Oh, I do remember that guy. Okay,
Uh,
okay.
This is one of those like you and I both forgot for sure.
I mean, we can only keep tabs on 200
Yeah.
players. Oh, here's that touchdown you're talking about. Debo Samuel.
Oh, I'll take those points.
I think that's Debo.
Yep, number 1. So he changed his name. I think he's Samuel Senior now.
Oh, did he have a kid?
I guess.
I got you. No, I mean, seriously, he was.
No, I know.
He almost fumbled, but he did hold the ball.
Yep, Debo
Yeah,
Samuel Senior.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Samuel. I like him. I've told you before. I feel like eventually, I thought it would be quicker, and I think if the Niners had won a World Series, that'd be really awesome. If the Niners would win a Super Bowl, I
Yeah.
think you'd see more teams commit to using the look how Dallas did with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
3 carries yesterday.
I call Debo the Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
He's a jack of all trades, and I think that's become more of the standard at wide receiver, the 6 foot tall, 200-pound guy that can run between the line or run between the tackles and also get open, break single coverage,
Yep.
get free. So yeah, he is the standard to me. The only problem with someone like him is it's just hard for them to stay healthy.
Yep.
And he has had health issues.
Again, physical teams also get hurt. That's the thing.
Which the 49, yeah. So Kyle Shanahan, just think of he's in year 8 with the 49ers. Break it up into 2 separate. So 3 out of the first 4 years, they didn't make the playoffs.
Yep.
Mainly because not enough talent and injuries. Next 4 years, well, this year hasn't yet to be determined, but the next 4 years, playoffs, NFC title games, Super Bowl appearance. So this is a team. They learned from those first 4 years how to stay healthy or get most of their star players healthy for the whole season.
Unless you're Brock Purdy in the NFC title game.
Oh boy, yeah. They weren't planning on playing Purdy in 2022.
Nope.
That was more of a necessity.
Hey, sometimes that works though. Look at 2015 in Dallas or 2016 in Dallas. Everybody talks about, we can make the jokes about Dak not winning the big game, but if you'd have told me in the beginning of 2020 or 2016 that not only would he be where he is today, but how many times Dallas would have made the playoffs in his time. Again, they've literally only missed the playoffs one time when injuries were not the big issue, and that's when Zeke got suspended.
Yeah.
I
I just realized another connection in this game.
What?
So Leonard Floyd, Aaron Rodgers is one. We've already talked about that. But the other one really is Brock Purdy and Breece Hall.
Yep.
Because they were teammates at Iowa State back in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, I don't really the Aaron Rodgers Floyd thing, because it wasn't Floyd. It was just his Achilles popped. Floyd happened to be next to him.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he, grabbed like when Ken Norton Jr. basically knocked out Jim Kelly in the Super Bowl, where he tackled him and not on purpose, but he tackled him and he snapped his knee. Leonard Floyd just happened to be the guy right there. That Achilles was going no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I forgot. You're right, Breece Hall. Man, that was look at Iowa State pulling off the upset. Well, I guess it's an upset. Iowa's the most overrated program.
One of my favorite uniforms. One of my favorite home field advantages. They look like the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, that's why I don't like it. I don't dislike the Steelers uniform, but to me, it's too close. Like,
it's a lot of black and yellow.
Yeah. I like Iowa State's look. Well, I like Iowa State's look now. They tried a couple years ago to look exactly like the U.S. Trojans, and that was so weird.
Yeah.
But I like that look now. But anyway, so 13-7, San Francisco with their first touchdown of the night. They lead with 6:54 left here in this.
Okay, I think we're caught up now.
Oh, we are?
Aaron under center, first down.
No, we're not. I got coaching staff talking.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's cool. As long as they're getting their results.
Aaron Rodgers gets abducted by aliens. Oh, my God.
But no, he comes back because they wanted to give him a vaccine.
He said he was immunized. What are you talking about? No, this is great. I'm glad he's healthy. I think the Jets are going to have a really good season. It already looks like they're doing well. Tyron Smith, left tackle. I really hope he does well. I hope he stays upright and healthy for the whole season.
He looks good. Like I was going to say this earlier, and then we got on. He looks like he's lost about 10 pounds.
He started the trend where linemen are not just these big fat ogres. They are in good shape. If you look at Tyron Smith, he's about 6'5", 300 pounds, but he looks chiseled.
Yep.
So,
and he looks like he's moving well. I got it at 3rd and 5 right now.
Yep. Second down play just ran. So yeah, now it's 3rd and 5.
I'm a little bit ahead of you. I got 5:40 left now.
On this ESPN app, you have the ability to fast forward 10 seconds. Let me see if I can. Oh, I can.
3rd and 5.
Aaron's under center.
Okay, still ahead.
Calling out audibles.
Looks like we have a penalty.
Oh, penalty.
A penal.
Yep, I see the flag. Oh, Aaron rolling. Did he get hurt? Nope.
Okay, so I'm going to spoil it. He thinks it's a flag on the Niners. It's a flag on the Jets. Illegal formation.
So Robert Saleh, the head coach for the Jets, I saw this a few years ago. He has a pregame ritual where he runs up and down the steps in the stadium. I was going to say bleachers, but he does that. And if you look, he hasn't shaved for the day.
Yeah.
So he has like a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow. You can see his hair. And then by the time the game starts, he's already showered and shaved completely. And he looks immaculate. Like
what do they have to do for him to keep his job?
NFC or AFC title game. Making the playoffs is one thing, but they need to do something because they invested a lot in the short term for this to work. So, really, idealistically, they need to get to the Super Bowl. But realistically, if they can get to the AFC title game, I think that'll keep him around another year. But they also need to show. He also needs to show that this team can win without Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I was about to say, I think the only way he stays with an AFC title game is if Aaron Rodgers stays.
Because he kind of lost value right now. After the 2019 season, he was the hottest coach available in the NFL. I mean, I wanted him in 2020 after the 49ers lost in the Super Bowl because you knew it was Garoppolo, imploding and Kyle Shanahan imploding. That's why they lost that Super Bowl. But it wasn't Robert Saleh's fault. So I kind of wanted him with the Cowboys, but Cowboys ended up switching because typically when a team fires their head coach, if that's an offensive head coach, like what Jason Garrett was, they go defensive to do a switch up. But with the Cowboys, they went with another offensive coordinator, just the one that actually, or offensive-minded head coach. But this one, Mike McCarthy, has won a Super Bowl. So I think that was the end goal. So this is year 5 for the Cowboys. Well, so they get to the Super Bowl.
Okay, let's go. Okay, let's shift over to the Cowboys. What does Mike McCarthy have to do to stay as head coach?
NFC title game.
So you think even just an NFC title game gets it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he'll be the head coach of the best Cowboy team in 29 seasons.
You've got your wide receiver locked up. You've got your
quarterback
locked up.
Probably going to get your star edge rusher locked up as well.
Yeah, because I definitely think. I mean, you're not going to get him cheap, but I think Parsons will take less money.
And they draft well. They'll be able to fill in the holes.
They have drafted well.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing. Again, everybody wants Jerry the owner should fire Jerry the GM. Look, the GM for the last 4 years has put a team on the field that everybody consensually says has one of the best rosters in football. At some point, I know it's easy to crap on Jerry Jones, but at some point, it's on the players and the coaches.
Yeah, I mean, they've won 12 games the last 3 seasons, and they've been the 2-time division champions. But they definitely need to get to the title game. And right now, it's kind of a watered-down NFC. I know there's some good teams, but there's not many elite teams. This is the time to take advantage, and they're not taking advantage. They need to do it this year. They really do.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back. I'll drink the coverage happy hour. That means it's bug season. Heck, who am I kidding? It's always bug season in Texas, and that's why you need Grandeur Pest Solutions in your corner. Mine will be lit. I don't know if that means the pizza will actually be delivered. So when it comes back, just talk. Just talk about the game, whatever.
Oh,
I only got one commercial. So.
Okay.
Sorry.
And we're back. I'm not sure what point of the game y'all are watching, but I'm watching. About 5:10 left. Brock Purdy just threw a pass to George Kittle. He's celebrating like he did something. The 49ers are up 13-7 in the second quarter. This has been a pretty good game so far. I really think it's still early to tell who's going to win. I don't think one team is dominating the other. Aaron Rodgers, as a Cowboy fan, Aaron Rodgers is my worst enemy because you can't give that guy even 11 seconds. He's going to go ahead and take care of business and win. So there's still another half of football left. And I think with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, it's going to be an uphill battle for anyone. So
here's an uphill pizza.
Oh, I'll drink the dinner. As ESPN is showing Chris McCaffrey is inactive for tonight with his calf issue. I don't think it's going to be anything where he's going to miss multiple games. I think just more of a precautionary thing because, again, 17 games in the season. So sit him out one game. He'll be back week 2. Maybe they can win tonight. If they win tonight, it's house money. They may feel like they can sit him out week 2. Who knows? But right now, they're still moving the ball down the field. So that's good news for them. They have one of the most stacked rosters in all of football. They have a very deep roster. So, for all the complaints people have about their offensive line not being as good as they were 4 or 5 years ago, they're still pretty good. Right now, they're moving down the field. They're across midfield. Still some time left in the second quarter, over 3 minutes. Food smells really good. Let's see here. Jordan Mason has a pretty good game. A guy that he didn't even get 1,000 yards at Georgia Tech, but he's having a pretty good stand-in performance. And, the 49ers have had like a Rolodex of pretty solid running backs over the last few years. Elijah Mitchell. Thank you, sir. Raheem Mostert a few years ago. Oh, wow, that's a big piece. But yeah, so
I'm back.
Terry's getting a couple slices while he chills and sits down.
During the draft, it works. What's happening in the game?
49ers are driving. They're up 13-7 with about 2:30 left in the second quarter.
It's been a fast game.
Yeah, ball's up the 50-yard line.
It's been a real fast game.
They're just moving down the.
Been a fast game. Sorry. All right, I've got it at 1st and 10.
Yeah, 1st and 10. Pass to Debo. Short gain.
Wait, pass to Devo or handoff?
Pass.
What time? How much time you have left?
2:15.
Oh wow, you're way ahead. I'm at 4:30 now.
Are you using the ESPN app?
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom, there's a fast forward button. Just click on that.
Okay, thank you.
So right, you can fast forward it to where it says you are live.
I'm at the 2-minute warning.
All right. Yep, I'm at the 2-minute warning too.
Cool. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. That means it's bug season. Heck, who am I kidding? It's always bug season in Texas. And that's why you need Grandeur Pest Solutions in your corner. They're locally owned and operated. They're trained, they're trustworthy, and they have a proven record as they have been in business for almost 10 years. They provide pest control against ants, bed bugs, bees, roaches, fleas, wasps, mosquitoes, rodents, spiders. If it crawls and you don't like it, they're probably going to take care of it for you. Now, they serve all of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they're locally owned. These two guys have been running this business since 2013, and every year they get bigger and bigger. But you know what they still do? They still have great customer service. In fact, if you get a hold of them, they're usually going to have your quote and your job ready to go within 48 hours. That's pretty good. Now, you can call them for a free estimate at 469-809-1769. You can find them online at Grandeur4, that's the number 4, shore.com. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in Grandeur Pet Solutions, and we are so happy that they're. We talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out. All right, we are back here and we're eating pizza.
Yeah.
2-minute warning here of a game. It's 13-7. And it just feels like a game where they're just kind of, both teams are just kind of trying to been filling each other out.
Yeah, I think they are. It's kind of a back and forth. I think Rodgers has shown a little bit. Jets offense has shown a little bit. And then like Jordan Mason, backup for Christian McCaffrey, has shown a lot. So I haven't seen much from Brandon Ayuk though. But I think that's, again, week 1.
Oh, and also he wasn't in camp. So,
yeah.
So I want to say this. One of the things about the trade with Christian McCaffrey is it always felt like you didn't really need him. Your schemes are good enough. Your offensive line are good enough. You don't really need a start. You could do what you've done, and that's just use a bevy of backs. And so I still contend that while he's played well there, and I'm not knocking that, he's taking up a lot of cap now, especially with the deal they made. I just still feel like San Francisco didn't need to make that trade.
Yeah, but they were not in a position to be able to make that trade. They didn't have the negotiating power. So Ayuk, and then Ayuk.
I'm talking about I'm sorry. I'm talking about Christian McCaffrey's
Oh,
trade.
sorry,
I never
sorry.
thought that trade. I mean, I just felt that was like you're just wanting to have the shiniest toy in the shed when you've had a great scheme, a great concept, and all that. You didn't need him.
Well, think about 2022. If Brock Purdy stayed healthy in the NFC title game, how would that have played out? Because to me, it was early, so you don't know how the momentum would have swung, but they were about to start dominating Philadelphia in the NFC title game. Who knows? They might have went on a run. And I would have liked San Francisco's offense in 2022 versus Kansas City's in 2022.
Yeah. That somebody I'd never noticed that, but go look at the Philadelphia playoff run that year. Until they lost to Mahomes, it wasn't like they beat two great playoff quarterbacks or even two
Correct.
good playoff quarterbacks.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, beating Daniel Jones and Josh Johnson is nothing to brag about, but they played those two quarterbacks back to back in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they earned it. They were able to get the number one seed, benefited from the Giants upsetting Minnesota. So they didn't have to play Kirk Cousins.
Sauce Gardner's hurt.
They benefited from the Cowboys losing to the 49ers. So they didn't play Dak Prescott. So, yeah, the Sauce Gardner,
Sauce.
third season right now.
Yep.
Probably considered the best cornerback in football.
Oh, yeah. Again, him and Lawrence Taylor and Micah Parsons are the only three players in their first two seasons to make first-team All-Pro both years.
Sauce Gardner, Alex Pierce, Desmond Ridder, part of that 2021 Cincinnati Bearcat team that made it to the playoffs.
Okay, one of those guys is not like the other.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder.
Yeah. So Alex Pierce had a big touchdown yesterday for the Colts. Of course, Sauce Gardner's a multiple-time Pro Bowler already and going into year 3. So, yeah, Desmond Ridder, sorry, buddy. Yeah.
Man, I was not – I mean, I didn't think he was going to light the league on fire.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting that. Like Malik Willis, I was like, that's a bad draft. Like,
Yeah.
no offense to Liberty. He was using a lot of smoke and mirrors. Good job by what's his name? Who was there? Hugh Freeze. They did a good job of making that offense pretty.
Should ask what Grant Gibbs
I think he's
thinks
already
about
out.
Hugh Freeze.
He falls asleep 5 minutes into an NFL game.
Okay.
Wow, Niners are really kind of starting to stretch it out here with 25 seconds left as they get inside the 15-yard line. But I thought Desmond Ridder would be a solid, like I really thought he fit well with what Arthur Smith was trying to do with the Falcons.
100% agree. 100% agree. It seemed like it would fit. They put the pieces around them in Atlanta just like they did this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I will blame Ridder and Arthur Smith to a lesser extent on that one because there was a lot of interceptions that shouldn't have been thrown.
Terrible, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's just bad decision making, and I thought a lot of that would go away with Kirk Cousins. But again, this is week 1. He didn't have the best week 1, but again, he's coming off a big injury. Give him a few weeks. I'm expecting Kyle Pitts to blow up. I'm expecting Drake London to blow up. Bijan to get some carries. Tyler Algier. There's talent there. Let's just see it by week 5 or 6. If they're still only scoring 10 points, then that's something. But
Kirk is one of those, and I guess all quarterbacks, and we label certain ones, but Kirk is always one of those. He either looks amazing or he looks terrible.
Yeah.
In fact, you can make the cases where Kirk has struggled is he's never been good at taking those bad games and still doing enough to win. It's either all good or all bad.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, again, week 1, blah, 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 blah. I really thought they would come out. I mean, they looked a lot like last year. Not using, Bijan was used more, but still you felt like, okay, why are you not using this guy? This is injuries happen. There's nothing you can do about that.
Sure.
But Bijan Robinson just looks built like he can handle it. Some guys just look like they can handle the grind. And, Kyle Pitts did have a touchdown. He looked pretty good. But the same thing as last year. They're not stretching that defense. And again, I think Kirk.
Why does Troy Aikman and Joe Buck look like a bunch of Mad Men characters?
Because that's where we're at now, baby. They're hipsters now. Touchdown to the end zone. He dropped it.
Oh, you're ahead of me. I'm at 17 seconds.
Oh, sorry. That was Ayuk, by the way.
You just paid him all this money. You're supposed to make that cash.
I
buddy.
was surprised they paid him. You know,
I'm not in the sense that they had no other option.
they did. They drafted that option.
And then he got shot.
Yeah, but he got shot after after the deal. That wasn't a.
And
Yeah.
if Ayuk had waited after that shot happened,
He probably gets another 20 million.
yeah,
But my point is the whole reason, you know, and I know Pierce saw and he got shot and that sucks. But even before then, he'd been banged up in camp,
yeah,
and I know that was an issue because you don't really know what you have.
right.
But okay, so you just signed Ayuk to a deal. Unless this is one of those, yeah, we're signing you to a 5-year deal. This is a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
Because why? I mean, you just wasted your first round draft pick of a team that has been to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls, been to 3 straight NFC title games. You don't waste your draft pick.
Yeah, you really don't waste your draft pick, especially with a team that's in contention and they have the ability to have a first round pick. Like, and you think about the Rams, they mortgaged their future to get Stafford and build this roster that can compete right now.
Yep.
And then after that, they got their Super Bowl, they didn't have first round pick for another couple of years. So,
And by the way, he gets $76 million guaranteed, so he's there for more than a year. He's there for at least 2 years.
yeah.
And you know, when you draft, you don't know. Maybe they really truly thought they were going to trade him or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, it worked out for them. I mean, again, he gets shot, and but I mean, he's still only supposed to miss like 4 games.
Which just reminds me of like, so once a year, a player is going to get shot and then come back and have a pretty solid rookie year.
Kind of what we're doing now, man.
Brian Robinson with the Washington Commanders, they're starting running back. He's in year 2, but last
He
year,
looked decent yesterday.
yeah, he looked decent yesterday. He had a pretty good rookie year last season, all things considered, since he got shot in the offseason. So, I mean, this is second straight year, a first round. No, he don't think it was a first round pick, but a draft pick got shot.
Well, were you surprised as the Niners are going to have to go for a field goal again? They've moved the ball well, but they haven't been able to punch it in. Again, Jets are a great defense. Were you surprised none of the rookie quarterbacks looked good yesterday? Like not one had okay, that was a game.
No, because I've been really impressed with the 2 of the last 3 years as far as rookie quarterbacks, especially 2 years ago. You know, Ryan Pickett as being the first
Kenny
quarterback.
Pickett.
I say Ryan
Yeah.
Pickett. Who's Ryan?
Yeah, but no,
he's like a defensive lineman, man.
Yeah.
So
But, I
yeah,
mean,
with Kenny Pickett. With
2 years ago, nobody was stepped in supposed to be the franchise.
But there's like all these, like Bo Nix should not have been a first round pick. JJ McCarthy should not have been a first round pick. Michael Penix Jr. should not have been a first round
Well,
pick.
no, Michael Penix Jr. should have been a first round pick to Atlanta. I think Penix's age and stuff, which again, just it goes back to why, because Penix's age, you want him starting right away because not only do you have a 5-year deal window, he's an older quarterback. He's not, I mean, 10 years might be his max.
That's just terrible planning. Like, I don't get why you would get Cousins and then draft for Penix. Like, if you get Cousins, then just wait for like a Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning in the future.
Yeah.
Like, wait for someone else. Don't just let Cousins play it out. You've already paid him the money. Just play it out.
Jets only have 84 total yards. The Niners have 210, but it's only a 16-7 game. It is a 2-possession game, but still,
Yeah.
you know, and this is going to go back to, again, all the Jets talking about all they need is Aaron Rodgers. I don't like this. I'm not a big Robert Saleh fan. Not anymore. I mean, when he was a defense corner, yes. I just don't think he has it. I think no matter Aaron Rodgers plays every game or not,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I were way different on the AFC East. You were very high on them. I'm not.
Yeah.
I think that first week kind of showed everything. You know,
Yeah.
Josh Allen's going to have to carry it again. I like what they did offensively with Buffalo, but they passed over Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
I mean, that just blows my mind after seeing week 1. And I think Keon Coleman can be a fine wide receiver, but
he looked pretty good in this first game, and you could see Allen starting to trust him a lot.
Yeah. But still, man, you had with the arm that Allen has, but now Allen's hurt his left hand. Luckily, it's not his throwing hand.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's his hand that he can't hold the ball, Allen moves around too much. He might have to miss some time.
Halftime in Santa Clara, 49ers up 16-7 over the Jets.
You know what? I think we should close the book on this one.
Oh, yeah?
I think this has been a good show. We go a little bit longer. I thought we went longer. Never mind. We'll go a little longer.
Okay.
We'll go at least through halftime. Trying to think of yesterday. other what? Just rapid fire as I reach over for
Oh,
the
yeah.
control. I mean, pizza.
We haven't even talked about all the other games that happened.
Let's go.
So we talked about the Thursday night game, the Isaiah Likely. That was a really good game to start the season, by the way. Both teams look good. It's just Chiefs won, close call. And then Jordan Love got hurt in the Eagles.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, so it might be 3 to 6 weeks. Let's see. TJ Watt looked like an MVP in that Steeler Falcon game. The game wasn't great. Boswell looks like an MVP. Actually, he's a kicker who kicked 6 field goals in this game for the Steelers.
Almost tied the record, which is held by 2 Cowboys,
Oh yeah,
Chris Boniol and shit. Who's the guy that
I'm
replaced
thinking
Chris
of
Boniol?
the Bill game in 2007. I thought that guy kicked 7.
He did, but so did what's his name?
Or
Yeah,
Bill-
Cundiff. It was Cundiff, and who's the guy that kicked it in the?
Richie Cunningham.
Yeah, Richie Cunningham
Okay.
in the Boniol game.
See, and I would say Cardinals Bills are probably my favorite look.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful.
Yeah,
Look.
Cardinals got the all white look for the road games. Though that's just the cleanest look. I actually would recommend them playing that all season long, even the home games and that. But yeah, Bills look good.
Cardinals look good in the first half.
Yeah, they look good in the first half, and then like you said, DJ Dallas had the kickoff return for a touchdown in the second half to keep it close. Bills win 34-28. If you go to the Bears and Titans, the offense didn't do good for the Bears. Terry made a good point off air. It reminded us of Rex Grossman era Bears of the mid 2000s. That great stout defense, but their offense wasn't going to be relied upon to do anything. So the Bears scored on a punt block by Mr. Simone Biles, aka Jonathan Owens. You probably saw him in the Olympics in Paris. And Tyreek Stevenson had the pick 6 late in the game. So yeah, Bears win 24-17, gives some fans a hope. It gives fans hope, but it also more importantly gives Caleb Williams more time to keep getting acclimated to the NFL speed.
I was a little surprised at how inefficient he looked. I'll admit that.
Compared to what he did in college, yeah.
I thought he would be. I thought him and you know, I guess maybe I bought into the Jaden Daniels hype. I thought those two would look the most quarter NFL ready.
Yeah.
And maybe they still did because the rookies were pretty shitty yesterday.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Bears win. We still don't know what this team's going to be like. I think the game against Houston next week will give us a better indication of how good Caleb Williams is as of right now. Terry and I both agree he'll probably end up being pretty good, especially with the talent around him. But yeah, again, we'll see. Patriots, Bengals.
We talked about them.
Yeah, it was an ugly game. Good for Mayo to get his first
We're
win.
missing some games.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, Washington.
Well, let me go down.
Okay,
the
my bad,
list.
my bad.
We're talking about Texans, Jaguars, Dolphins.
Mobile.
Fumble by Etienne late in the game, kind of helped the Dolphins.
Man. So sorry. I literally was going to message you last week because you're a big Etienne fan and you were
Big
big on him last year and he
Yep.
got hurt. I was going to message you, I think Sunday morning and say I think Etienne, and I still think you will be. I think Etienne will be a top 3 back this year. And it felt like at times he was putting the Jags on his back yesterday, and then the fumble.
Yeah, the fumble was just at a worst time possible.
Well, I mean, it changed the. I think if he doesn't fumble, because the first off points off the board, second off the very next play is the 80-yard Tyreek Hill play.
Yeah, because the Dolphins are a big play team, and I'm still kind of disappointed in how the Dolphins played. I think they should have got more than 20 points. They left a lot of points on the board.
Again, though, Jacksonville's a good team, man.
Yeah, and I know their defense improved a lot last year, but I just feel like the Dolphins.
Like I'm impressed they won that game. That's not a game the Dolphins win over the last couple of years.
They would have, they would have lost that game last year.
I mean, that's
So yeah, I agree with you. That is growth.
and let's go ahead and talk about Tyreek Hill gets pulled over going into the game.
There's mixed. Yeah, the police union say one thing, he says another. I don't know what the truth is.
I know this. The city bench that police officer. That tells me something right there.
Yeah. I mean, you don't mess around with the money that's going into the city.
Either way, I just a bad look. Just a bad look. Our guy that does, I think it was named the one with the beard, white dude with the beard that does all the fantasy stuff. Always sends you. He had a funny one where the cop's like, "I'm playing against Tyreek this week, and there's no way I can let him beat me. It's Chris's team." And everybody's like, "Oh, Chris, yeah, just arrest him. We hate Chris."
Yeah.
But who's being honored? Is that Keyshawn?
Keyshawn?
Is that Keyshawn? Oh no, it's not. It's Frank Gore. My bad. Ooh. Let's not hit any racial connotations if I can't. I mistake. No, it's Frank Gore.
There's different heights.
He had
ages.
he had his head down. I'm just saying.
Okay.
You know.
I
don't know why Keyshawn would be honored by the Niners.
There's really nothing to say about the Saints and Panthers other than
Panthers are dude.
Let
Bryce Young is terrible.
Give it a whole season.
Nope, they did last year. He was terrible. He never improved.
But they have a better offensive minded head coach.
Okay, and
well, just let's see.
So
let's let Jonathan Brooks actually play, and let's see what happens.
Boy, is Jonathan Brooks gonna
Jatavian Sanders?
Is Jonathan Brooks gonna play defense to the corners as they're running pick sixes? I'm sorry, Bryce Young looked worse yesterday than he did last year.
Yeah, and I actually told you that, so I can't go back on that.
No, you called it first throw of the game.
Yeah.
The first throw of Bryce Young's redemption tour is not only an interception, it is an absolute terrible one. Like, there was nobody around. He couldn't have overthrown somebody. He didn't underthrow. I don't know what he read.
Another team that looks worse this year than they do last year is the New York Football Giants.
Well, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, we knew that was going to happen, especially with losing Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles. Because let's be honest,
or just Daniel Jones and Brian DeBall staying with the Giants. That makes them better.
Yeah. 2022, when the Giants went 9-7-1, they made the playoffs basically because Saquon Barkley stayed healthy the whole season,
and Daniel Jones didn't turn the ball over.
He ran instead of threw whenever he was confused. And that got him a 4-year, $160 million contract. Good for him. But, I mean, he's still not great. And he had thrown that pick 6 to Van Ginkel, the free agent signing for the Dolphins.
Terrible.
It was so terrible. Yeah. But, yeah, Vikings with Sam Darnold, I don't think they're going to have any issues. I think Darnold's going to love throwing it to Justin Jefferson and Addison, Naylor until Hawkinson gets back. And then they signed Darashaw to a fat contract. So the line secure. Defense, they got instead of Daniel Hunter, who's now in Houston, they replaced him with Van Ginkel and a couple of other pass rushers. So they're good there too. So yeah, I think Brian Flores is going to flourish as a defensive coordinator in year 2 with the Vikings. And that's not an overreaction. I think the Vikings will actually be fine this season. I think they're going to be a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot.
I said that.
You did.
I told you, man.
And with Aaron Jones at running back, the new running back,
he looked good.
Yeah, he good.
Now he's going to miss 3 or 4 games. He's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's amazing how the last 4 years the Vikings and Giants are tied to each other because of the playoff win. When it felt like, oh, this is the year Vikings finally make a push for the NFC title, and then they get upset by the Giants. And then this year, to start the season, the Giants look, nothing against Daniel Jones. He's not good. But what's worse is Brian DeBall. And the problem with the Giants is they fired McAdoo after one great year and a bad season.
Yeah.
And I never thought that was fair, but apparently people didn't like him, all that bullshit. And so they can't do that now. Now it's the Chan Gailey effect. Jerry Jones always said the one mistake he made was he fired Chan Gailey too quickly. And so what happened after that? Everybody except for Wade. Wade was the perfect, I call it the hockey coach.
Okay.
Hockey coaches in the NHL, they will win Coach of the Year 1 year and they're fired 20 games in the next year. It's just how hockey works.
That is so crazy.
And that's what happened to Wade. Even though he won Coach of the Year and, Dallas went, they were great. He was always on a thin line. And the only reason he got past what he got was because Romo got hurt in 2008. And so that was that buffer.
Yeah.
And then 2009, they won a playoff game and he should have been let go in 2008.
Yeah.
But Brian DeBall's a terrible head coach. I to this day, I will never understand how the New York Giants won 9 games that year in an NFC
soft
East
schedule.
But you were in an NFC East that had the Eagles and the Cowboys.
It was a soft schedule. Like the Washington wasn't that good. Philadelphia was on the come up, but they still weren't that good. the next year they were great. There was a big difference between Philadelphia in 21 and 22.
But they were still great in 21 record-wise.
Record-wise, yes, but they were still a team like the Giants could still beat.
Did they beat the Eagles?
Well, in 2022, they got swept by the Eagles.
No,
But
I'm talking about when they made the playoffs.
no, they lost all 3 games to the Eagles.
That's what I thought. So they got swept by the Cowboys and then swept the Redskins.
Oh, whoa. Commanders.
The Commanders,
Yeah.
Commodes.
But like Dayball had such a great time being offensive coordinator with the Bills that they just thought he's gonna make Daniel Jones a star. But no, Daniel Jones, he was
Wait, Daniel Jones doesn't play like Josh Allen? I'm shocked, I tell you.
they're only comparable in height alone.
Why do they do that?
What,
Like-
draft Jones? Or like what
No, well, yeah, that. But why does it, when you're hiring a coach,
Yeah.
you have to look at what they had and why they were successful.
Yeah.
And I think Brian DeBall is a perfectly fine coordinator, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's a bad head coach, but I don't think he's a terrible coach.
Yeah.
But did nobody in the room say, well, you know, that dude, Josh Allen, kind of does everything?
Yeah.
And you had Stephon Diggs,
Yeah.
and you had a really, I think if the Bills never win it, we will look back at that last year with the balls off. That's the year they should have won it. That's
Yep.
the shootout year with Kansas City. But do owners not think about, wait, were they good because of his play calling, or were they good because Josh Allen literally does it all? And did they think Daniel Jones? I mean, Daniel Jones does run the ball well, and that's the one thing they did. The one thing the Giants offense did well when they won in 2 years ago was he scrambled.
Yeah.
You can't really. I mean, last year he didn't, but yeah, dude, Daniel Jones looks terrible.
Yeah.
Like, are you not, honestly, I know first game. Shut up, Noe, listen to me. Are you not, after week 1, going, oh, Dallas is going 12-5 again? Like, they're not, okay, they've already got 1 win, right? They will sweep the Giants. That's 3 wins.
Yeah.
I will give, because I think they play the,
Do you think at least they'll split the Washington?
well, I think in the last game of the year in Washington.
Okay.
And that, let me check. I think the last game of the year is in Washington, or the last game is against Washington. Let me make sure before I say that.
Okay.
But I'm 100% sure it is without checking. Let me check. Yeah, last game of the year is with Washington. It might not mean anything. And it's at home, but it might not mean anything.
Okay.
But does anybody in the NFC after this week, San Francisco, because we're watching the show, but we're not really watching it because we're doing the show. Does anybody scare you? Did the Eagles scare you?
No.
Did Green Bay scare you even before Jordan Love got hurt?
No.
I mean,
But again, week 1, we
Yeah,
don't
but-
know what's going to happen. We don't know if the Cowboys pass rush matches up well against those other teams. It somehow matched well on the road against a Cleveland Brown team that I respect their offensive
but
line.
they had 2 out.
Yeah, 2 out, so that could have been the difference. So let's see what happens.
But here's the thing, dude. Cheese is gummy. Here's the thing. Everything Dallas did yesterday is
Yeah.
the same thing they've been doing for the last 3 years. Good
Yeah.
pass rush, good special teams. I mean, the shock is you and I both thought, okay, they're going to be better with Zimmer, but they won't blow teams out. They won't get 5 sacks and 2 interceptions.
the playmaking ability is going to be diminished.
Yeah, because they're going to be more conservative,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah.
So I agree 100% with you with the whole 1 week thing. I get that, but you also have to go when you're doing exactly what you've wanted to do and you're doing it. I'm just saying. I feel and it has nothing to do with Dallas winning or losing.
Yeah.
Let's say Cleveland would have been healthy and Dallas lost 24-21 yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
I still would look over at the rest of the NFC
Oh,
and go,
Second half kickoff.
oh, sweet. I still would go look at the rest of the NFC after week 1 and go, oh, Dallas is going to be okay.
Debo's over here taking kickoffs.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they had talked about that. Shanahan had talked about that. Talked about getting value out of, and he felt that with the way the kickoffs are this year, that he thought Debo and even Brandon Ayuk could make some. And I agree. I think you're going to see more. I think Cordell Patterson's career gets extended a couple more years, and that dude's already 45.
One of your favorite fantasy football options.
Dude, he led me to the most improbable championship in a random league
Yeah.
because I picked his ass up off of waivers when I was like 2-5. and he went on that stretch with the kickoff returns for touchdowns, and they started using him as a running back.
Yeah.
And and it wasn't even like he was getting, it was like 5 carries, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, just anyway. And I love players like that. Oh, there's your boy. You're so big on him.
Who?
I'm not Robert Salah. Sorry. They're talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
He is 7-25.
Oh, you're behind. Okay. They've already run the play.
They ran one play.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm here. I'm looking at Joe Buck and Troy Aikman right now.
Okay. I'm looking at Robert Salah. They're doing his interview.
Right now, it's 2nd and 10.
He is 7-25. That's not his career. He's 7-25 when they're trailing.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
Do you know what still pisses me off? There are multiple games in my life that the Cowboys piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
But you me tell you the 2 most that piss me off, and they come from AFC East teams.
Was one lost to Buffalo when you were a kid?
1984. The Bills won 2 games that year. One of them being against the playoff contending Cowboys on the road. I don't know if my dad's still watching because, he's old and he goes to sleep like at 3 p.m. But so I didn't watch the game. I was like 9.
So it was the 84 season.
Yeah, I was 9.
Okay. I didn't know the Eagles only won 2 games that season.
You mean the Bills?
Oh,
yeah.
Bills. Okay, I think you said Eagles.
So like the first play or the second play of the game, Greg Bell churches it against the Cowboys, right?
A pretty good early 80s running back.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And so I didn't see the game, but this is what I remember. I'm over with my friend Rocky Harris. We're all playing football in the yard, just doing what you did as a kid.
Yeah.
You'd go in and check the score from time to time. I didn't do that. See my mom and dad's car coming up. And I'm like, wow, it's like 2:30. Usually they just let me walk. My dad leans over, kicks open that passenger side. Get in the car now, Terry. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what did I do? Man, they already found my weed? No, I was 9. I didn't start weed. I was on meth at that point. So I get in the car and I'm like, me and Rocky, I don't care what you and Rocky were doing. The Buffalo Bills beat the Dallas Cowboys. I'm serious. That happened like that.
And you understood what that meant.
I knew me like, son of a bitch. I thought I could play today and not get beat. Damn it. No. That one and then the Jets one a few years ago. The 94 Roddy Anderson with a 94-yard touchdown pass.
Oh, 2019 after who had mono? It was Sam Darnold. He had mono. He just came back. It was the first game. They had not won a game.
You and I thought we were feasting.
Yeah, because the Cowboys were opening up with a pass-heavy offense. They started off 3-0. They played the Saints the next week, and I think Breeze was out.
Yep.
So Teddy
and they beat the Saints the next week.
I think they lost.
I thought they beat the Bridgewater then. I thought that's when it was like 9-7.
I remember it was 2019. I remember that. And
hang on, let me look.
I thought they were going to lose to the Saints. Then
maybe
Braves got hurt.
Maybe
Bridgewater played. The Saints won an ugly game. Maybe
that's what it is. Maybe I'm thinking it was. I know it was an ugly game, and maybe I thought that they.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they won the next game or they lost the next game. But I remember the next game or whatever the next game was against the Jets, and the Jets were still winless. They
lost 3 in a row. You're right. They lost 12-10 to the Saints.
Yeah.
They lost 24-34 to Green Bay because for some reason Dallas cannot beat Green Bay in Dallas now. It's like all that 90 juju that Dallas had against Green Bay, it got spent. So can we please go play Green Bay? Oh no, we lost to Green Bay. We played them in Green Bay. But yeah, they had dominated Miami, and they were terrible.
Yeah.
They lost 2 straight to the Saints and Packers, and both of them were like, okay, it's okay. Yeah. We're 3-2. We'll be fine.
Yep.
And then what made it so bad, though, is it was an ugly game. It was one of those, it was the early October, but it was rainy. It was cold. It was blustery. It was a 3 p.m. start.
Yep.
And Dallas is struggling, but Dallas gets the Jets like at their own 4 or 5 yard line. And you're like, okay, whew. We're going to get at worst, we're going to get the ball. We're going to get the ball.
Yep.
Oh, hang on. Sorry. What is this? Wow. They play the whole game now on NFL.com when you load the stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then, it's like, oh, no. I remember now. Dallas went for it. 4th and short in the goal line. They went for it. Didn't get it. But you're like, it's fine. It's the Jets. They suck offensively. And then effing Sam Darnold hits Roddy. I can barely run the 40 without falling down Anderson, or the chosen one, as he's called now, for 92 yards. And that was it, dude. those are in the 84 Dolphins Monday night game. That was a fun game.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, they ended up making the Super Bowl, so it wasn't the worst.
Yeah, it wasn't the word. I mean, it sucked because that broke a 20-year,
Yeah.
I mean, that I care about that. You might not. I mean, you were, 84? You were like sucking on teat at the time?
No, I was born in 84, so,
Yeah, I know when you were born. That's why I said you were sucking on teat at that time.
You know.
So then they beat God, 2019's flooding back. Then they beat the Eagles and Giants badly, 37-10, 37-16. Then they lose to Minnesota. Then they beat the Lions, and then began the 3-game where they lost to the Patriots, the Bills, and the Bears on the road on a Sunday night. That was just an ugly game. And they missed the playoffs. And by the way, that's the last time they missed the playoffs without a major injury.
Yeah, because 2020 when Dak got hurt, I saw that play. That was terrible.
We all saw that, man.
Yeah.
By the way, they weren't making the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the 2010 season when Romo got hurt, and everybody thought, "Oh, Romo got hurt." No, they were 1-4 and had lost. They were terrible on defense. Remember, that's when Vince Young came in and beat them. I mean, I love Vince. Hate you, Jeff Fisher. I hate you so much. You 7-9 mother. Anyway, but yeah, they still weren't making. That defense would not have held up. I mean, Dak, I would have liked to have seen the stats because I think Dak would have probably, seriously, I'm not joking, thrown for 5,500 yards that year because they would have had to.
Yeah.
But
they had no running game. Well, they weren't trying to run the ball.
I mean, they couldn't. You couldn't punt if you were Dallas.
Yeah.
God, the two worst defensive coordinators are the two guys you and I were so happy about.
Yeah,
Monty Kiffin and Dick Nolan.
Yep.
That's when I learned. I knew it before, but I learned on that one. We still got like straight up 7,000. What are y'all doing? Like, go watch.
Thank you.
Go watch Pornhub or something. And send me some links. odtcshow@gmail.com. But no, seriously, we didn't even eat the wings. I know what I'm eating for lunch tomorrow.
I have a couple of wings right here.
Hey,
put them back.
I'm feeling pressured. Oh, wait, we're getting into a different thing. But no, this is what we love to do on this show, by the way. We just love to ramble and talk. We do appreciate everybody that's joining us. You said it at the beginning of the show. I told you every time we do something new, and this is the first, we've done a Monday night watching party. We did 2 last year and we got really good numbers.
Yeah.
But we were like, this is new because this is our first in-season true happy hour, which this is going to be every week. You won't be in studio.
Yeah.
But every week we're going to start at 6.
Touchdown Niners.
Yeah, I think again, I'm telling you, dude.
Without Christian McCaffrey.
Robert Saleh is not good coach, at least the head coach.
Yeah.
And how do we know how good he is as defensive coordinator?
I mean, that 49er defense in 2019 was unreal.
Is that 49er defense now not close to being unreal? Again, that's where I talk about, dude. I think these owners and GMs, pizza's going down second time really good. I think the owners and the GMs at times, they get too caught into the hot name. They get too caught in the results, and they don't look at what the team has. If you've got 4 all-pros, 2 second-team all-pros, and a bunch of role players that everybody else would love, yeah, some of that credit goes to the coach. But then when he leaves and they replicate it and they replicate it and they replicate it, it's not the coach.
Yeah.
It's the players.
Yep.
And I think general managers and stuff need to do a better job at that.
Yeah.
Like, just, hey, and it's nothing against Robert Saleh. It's the same way. It's the same way we're talking about with other coaches, like Brian DeBall. Like, yeah, that was great what you did with Buffalo, but look at what Buffalo does. That's what they do. And same thing when the Cowboys, when it was Norv Turner, and then when it was Butch Davis, and
some of them is just too overwhelming. They're good at dealing.
That's a really good point.
One part of
and you don't know until they actually become a head coach if they will. Yeah. I will give you that. That's true.
Always a question mark. You don't know how these coordinators are going to do when they get to the next level. I almost trust just giving it to a former head coach or a college head coach, because at least they've been involved in aspects of offense, defense, and special teams. And with college, they got recruiting. So,
look at Urban Meyer.
So they have a GM quality there where they're trying to recruit talent.
Yeah, but look at Urban Meyer.
Yeah, where he failed miserably.
There might have to be, when we get more into the look backs where they're not Cowboy centric.
Yeah.
There will have to be a look back at that year because the shit that went on behind the scenes.
The 2021 Jags.
Oh, by the way, have you seen that Aaron Hernandez trailer?
Yeah, it looked terrible.
That look, and FX does really. That is the same group that did the O.J. Simpson.
Yeah,
that did the Versace murders.
Yeah.
That did, I don't know what the hell went off the rails.
It's people that don't know anything about sports.
I mean, the dude doesn't. The dude looks 5'9".
Yeah. It's made by people that don't know anything about sports.
That's a good point because everything else, and I'm pretty sure the whole gang side and all that will be perfectly
They
fine.
always butcher like sports entertainment. Think about the Von Erich movie that came out last year.
That was good.
But think about the casting. As far not the talent of the casting, but like the size of them.
Dude, it's good. No, you haven't seen that movie, have you?
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
They did great on that.
No, it was great.
No,
But
I mean,
like,
the casting I thought was great. The size. And,
they were too small.
What?
Think about the Von Erichs, how big they really are.
yeah, but
I love the bear. Well, I love that people love the bear. I never actually watched. I watched the first 3 episodes of that show.
you don't like it?
No, it was good. I think I just never worked in the restaurant field.
Oh, so you don't get that? Yeah, I got you. No,
So
that
I-
is very much a if you've done it.
That is like what's that Baltimore show?
The Wire.
The Wire. I kind of have to just run it out, like stick it out through one season, and then maybe I'll get it.
My issue with The Wire, it's too sad.
Oh yeah,
Because it's all true, it's all real, and it's
Yeah.
so depressing. But no, I get that with the bear. I mean, me and Jenny both. Now she worked in my studio wife. She worked in the field forever. I worked for it for a short time. I mean, for a year and a half, but a short time.
Yeah.
I get the references. She gets the references. But that's a really good point about if you haven't seen it. But yeah, but like the Von Erichs, the movie. If you've never seen the Von Erichs, you could believe they're the Von Erichs. The guy playing Aaron Hernandez, and he might do a wonderful job acting. Jenny looked at him and said, he doesn't look like a football player.
exactly.
And she knows nothing about football. God love her. 3 years into this relationship, I have all this.
Yeah.
And she's like, football. She just doesn't grab her. So
Yeah.
even she was like, yeah, he doesn't look like a football player.
Yeah, I mean, good observation because they really
That's some good pizza,
for
dude.
you and I, we're gonna have to suspend our disbelief.
I don't know if I can ever watch it unless I watch it as a bad.
I'm gonna have to wait for the reviews to
That might
come.
be a bad movies in a drink.
I'm gonna have to
episode.
wait. Yeah. I mean, if the numbers are there, like 7,000 plus people want to keep watching.
Well, I thought about maybe us doing this on some of the shorter NFL weeks, like the Cowboys and Texans bye week and
Yeah.
stuff. When we're recording our happy hours, we could do the first part be a recap and then do these little mini bad movies in a drink. Because I don't want to talk Aaron Hernandez movie for long,
Yeah.
but I do think it's a sports movie that is, it's an era that, think about it.
I'd like to promote a counseling service while we're doing that.
I would
because,
too.
It's a pretty he was a pretty tortured mentally.
Well, gang culture, masculine culture. It's obvious that he had some issues with his sexuality that he couldn't accept.
yeah.
He felt the need to be. I'm not going to pretend like I understand it. I grew up in a small town in East Texas.
Yeah.
We thought the movie Colors was awesome, and we thought that the gang life was fun because we had no clue what it really was.
Well,
I don't understand how a multimillionaire dude playing the NFL felt the need to then sideline. And he's not the only one.
Yeah.
Like, I get Sam Hurd doing like cocaine, selling cocaine. I get Nate Newton trucking 60 pounds of weed across Louisiana because they're trying to make actual cash.
yeah.
I don't get someone like Aaron Hernandez who had everything in front of him doing that.
I think 49ers are about to pull away.
Oh, damn it.
They just got a tip pick.
Aaron Rodgers
but
is so bad.
There's a flag on the field, though. I'm not sure what the flag is for.
Well, so how much time do you have left?
I have 6-11.
Oh, God, you're way ahead.
So Rogers threw a pass. He got tipped and intercepted.
No,
But,
I bet he'll
penalty-
blame the receiver because he's got COVID vaccine.
Yeah. Personal
you-
foul. Oh, 49ers. Okay, so the Jets are alive.
Okay, yeah, I see that now. And the fact they're pissed at him.
First down.
Isn't it weird? Oh, I have an internet issue. We still on? Yeah, we are. Okay. Isn't it weird that the last two iconic quarterbacks for the Green Bay Packers?
Went to the Jets. After
Okay,
15 years with the Packers.
Well, yeah, that was even what I was talking about. Damn. So, by the way, Minnesota next year, you're getting Aaron Rodgers. He's going to surprise everybody and go to the NFC title game. No, but isn't it weird how they went from so beloved to so controversial? Now, to be fair, Aaron Rodgers, like I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but his stuff is just, hey, you're a douche,
Yeah.
And there were always reports of one of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers fell so far was part of it was teams just didn't need a quarterback, but also people in California were like, that's an odd dude. Like he's one of those guys that he's the only reason he's liked on the football team is because he's a great quarterback. Like he doesn't, he's not personable and all that. And his stuff is crappy, but not that bad. But Brett Favre just is a terrible human being. Like when you're stealing money from a program to help the poor because you want your daughter to have a volleyball that, by the way, you should be able to afford in your career earnings with as much money as you. If we're not talking $30 million, it's like $5 million.
Yeah.
Like you should be able. You would think Brett Favre could go across the state of Mississippi and fundraise for that.
Yeah, you would think so, but
then Aaron Rodgers with the COVID, and just also again, a lot of people thinking, okay, dude, you think your shit don't stink. It's just weird that they both.
He thinks he's the smartest person in the room.
Yes, and that's fine. I've always believed that the smartest person in the room usually does not tell you they're the smartest person in the room. Like that's the whole point. The smartest people in the room that really are the smartest tend to be observant and just sit back and, like you always tell me, Terry, you're so quiet. And I'm like, yes. Yes. No,
I'm saying the dude that hosts all these shows.
Wait. What are you saying? God, but you know my point. It's just weird. Both of them from, Green Bay and then I don't know. Maybe that's one of the reasons I like Jordan Love. Like he seems like a fun dude. Like he seemed like a really good dude. I mean, he didn't last year against Dallas when he cheated, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, we are still in the third quarter. What? 4 minutes? 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
6 minutes and 12 seconds left. We have an extended break. I don't know if there was an injury timeout. Oh, wow. I read that commercial wrong. It said Cook's children. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Wait, so who has the ball?
49ers. Oh, wait. Why do they have the ball?
Yeah, I thought it must have been I bet it was a personal foul after the play. Yeah, because it's bad. Yeah, it's personal foul after the play.
Okay. Yeah, interception. Yeah. Okay, so it was an interception.
Golly, man, they should cut George Kittle. Hey, George. He's another one that I think injuries are. Oh, here we go.
Oh, Malik Collins had unnecessary roughness penalty. That's what it was.
But how do you get that and keep
he must
the ball?
have had a late hit after the pick.
Oh, after the interception, I bet.
That's the only thing I can think of. All right, well, 49ers have it,
They're showing the replay now. It must be because Aaron Rodgers isn't touched.
Yeah.
Then there's the interception.
2nd and 10 from the 49er 39.
6:06 left?
6:06
Oh,
left.
we're finally, we've synced up like our periods.
First down, Mason. He crosses the 50-yard line. First down, 49ers.
Christian McCaffrey who? So what did you think about the Guardian caps? A couple guys wore them, not many, but a couple.
It wasn't noticeable until there was a zoom in.
Yep.
So
it'll be noticeable on white helmets because it's so there was a Pittsburgh safety wearing it. I think it's a pretty good he's been with other teams. I can't think of the name of him now.
Was it Casey or was it?
Oh no. I'm sorry. There was a Pittsburgh Steeler, but I'm thinking of what's his name that was with the Bills last year. Starts with a P.
Poyer
wore one.
Yeah, with the Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins.
Yeah.
That's why it stood out.
Yeah.
The Steeler one didn't really stand out. They had to actually zoom in. Poyer did because it's the white helmet. For some reason, the white, you can tell.
So, it reminds me, I'm still waiting for someone to do a meme or GIF of it. You remember that game NFL Blitz?
The big heads.
Yeah, if you do the cheat code, you get the big head. That's what it kind of reminds me of if you zoom in. But like just watching gameplay, I don't really notice it.
Now, first off, they've already said there's like 3 other new helmets this year that got the exact same numbers as the Guardian as far as concussions. But the makers of Guardian have already said that they're working on a helmet that it's all inside the helmet.
Yeah, and I think you and I talked about that because my question to you was, well, if they have this Guardian cap, why don't they just have it custom built inside the helmet? Like, they're working on
it. They got to streamline it because you can't. I know it sounds weird because if it's but you can't put it on the inside of the helmet, and then the problem is that plastic shell would be so much bigger, and then that becomes more issue for other players. Yeah. We remember Bubba Wallace.
Oh yeah.
He wore the old school snap helmet. And then what's his name for the Bills? Mark Kelso. Was it Mark Kelso? Yeah, Mark Kelso. He wore.
Was he like a safety?
Yeah,
Oh.
and he wore the snap, but that was actually all the same material. It was just like one big hat over the other one. It was like an overlay with a snap.
Okay.
But yeah, so that I'm all for whatever makes it safe. I'm sorry, I don't miss the flying missile hits. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy them back in the day. Hell, my parents always got me like the hardest hits VHS and things like that.
Yeah.
But I also understand now, just my age and some of the injuries I had. I didn't play anywhere like that.
Yeah.
To these people, I want everybody to be happy and safe. I don't want a Junior Seau killing himself and things like that.
Or Daryl Stingley.
A Daryl Stingley who got just absolutely destroyed by Jack Tatum.
Yeah.
And it was a legal hit.
Yeah.
Again, Aaron Hernandez. They said that when they looked at his brain, he had CTE really bad.
Yeah.
I don't want that. It's this sport. I love this sport enough to where I would rather eliminate that than eliminate the sport. And like, we're in a state now. I mean, look, this is my full-time job because Texas high school football is so loved.
Yep.
And we're not even talking, we don't even talk 6A. We talk 4A, 3A, and 2A, 3 middle to small classes. It's so loved that we can get the numbers. But less and less people in the state of Texas are playing football. Less and less parents are allowing. If I had a boy right now, I would not want him playing football. I would not want my grandson playing football. My granddaughter can because she'll kick everybody's ass. Hazel, the youngest, she's gonna be mean. She's gonna be like a defensive tackle.
Yeah, okay.
She's gonna be like a 160-pound defensive tackle. But no, seriously, I would not. If I had a grandson, I would advise them to not play football.
Yeah. It looks like the Jets made a stop with 3:33 left.
Jamal Adams. Oh wait, no, not that one.
Yeah. So good job on the Jets for making a stop. They're down by 16. 3:33 left in the third.
Purdy has looked a little off.
But
again, he's that type of quarterback that's going to happen. You accept that with him. I don't, even if they end up signing him to a $200 million deal, I don't think anybody pretends that he's a $200 million. Look, Dak Prescott's not a $240 million quarterback. Dak Prescott is he cooks it in. Oh, Moody with a beautiful field goal. I love the off the upright end.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback.
Yep.
Dak Prescott, when he is good, like he was last year for most of the year, is a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, second in the MVP voting.
I still don't think he's a $240 million quarterback, but that's the market. So he becomes a 200. Brock Purdy is a $200 million quarterback at minimum. And if they do make it to the Super Bowl, he becomes a $270 million quarterback.
He might reset the market.
Yeah, he will. I mean, he'll reset it at least for him. But that doesn't mean that he's a top 5 quarterback. But with this team, when he plays with himself, he's perfectly great.
But does he want to enter the realm of Mahomes and Brady, who'll take a discount so the team can build around him?
All right, Mahomes didn't really take a discount.
Well, I mean, market value. Yes,
market value, because but that was actually the Chiefs doing really good with the numbers, knowing that, look, the cap after COVID, the COVID's the only year that the cap took a step back.
Yeah.
Before that and after that, it's exploded. It's getting bigger. They knew that. So they baked that in really well.
Yep.
Who's the other one?
That's up for a deal?
No, Brady. Brady was able to because of who he was married to.
Yeah, yeah.
And Brady never cared. And look, this is the one thing. We've talked about this. I love Dak. I genuinely want Dak to at least make an NFC title game for his career.
Yeah, me too.
But Dak, you've already been paid $160 million. Why did you have to be the top paid quarterback? I'm not saying you can't go into press conferences and say all I want to do is win and be kind of full of shit.
Because you would be kind of,
but that's kind of full of shit.
Yeah.
Because if you really wanted to win, you're going to take it. And look, let's understand one thing, guys and girls. He can't take a really low deal because the NFLPA would literally not let him. They would sue him and his agent. People don't understand that. The union is always going to be, you go for the best deal for you. And you can say, well, what about Brady? Brady took less, but Brady didn't take like massively amounts less. It's not like Brady was getting the rookie
He
minimum.
just did, him and Mahomes just didn't take the market value.
Yeah, they didn't take the market value. And that's the thing that frustrates me as a Cowboy fan, especially right now. Like, man, I mean, even if you just took $200 million, that's still a lot of money, dude.
Think about what players you can get to fill up that roster for that extra $40 million.
And so, you know, again, that goes to that question. I know you want to win, but what's that value? And again, I'm all about the players getting all the money they can.
Yeah.
And I still believe that there will be a time in the next 10 years where we're going to have a quarterback cap or a Larry Bird right type situation.
Yeah,
or if you don't know, in the NBA in the 80s, basically they realized that Larry Bird might leave the Celtics because all talks about the Celtics in the 80s, they were actually really cash strapped. Like they went bankrupt twice.
Yeah.
And so there was a big fear that, man, the iconic Boston Celtics going to end up playing for the Mavericks or, you know, like that. And so they created the Larry Bird rights, meaning if at the time you got one player you drafted, if you brought him up when it came time, you could super max him and it didn't count against the cap. Now it's convoluted and you can literally trade for a guy and you can do that and you can do it multiple times, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
The NFL is going to have to do something like that with the quarterbacks because quarterbacks are making such a large percentage that you're going to have teams like San Francisco with rookie quarterback contracts making the Super Bowl while the great quarterbacks are getting paid, but they're playing on average to below average teams.
And the quality of the content and the Super Bowl is not going to be there.
Exactly.
And so right now, as long as Mahomes is making Super Bowl appearances, they're good.
Yep.
But there's going to be a point where the Chiefs are not going to be as talented.
Yeah, and you're going to have a year where Mahomes misses time. You're going to have a year where they just finally get beat.
Yeah.
You know, again, to me, what makes so phenomenal what they've done is they're an overtime away to losing to the Bills. There's 7 points last year. If Lamar Jackson is just a little bit more aggressive at times last year, the Ravens were there. Hell, they've trailed in every Super Bowl.
Yep.
They've won 3 of them, but they've trailed in every Super Bowl. So again, at some point, Mahomes just ain't going to make it. And then what are you going to do if you get a year 2 quarterback versus a year 3 quarterback, and neither one of them are great, but they're just good enough? Yeah. You're going to get a boring Super Bowl.
Yep, very true.
And so they're going to have to do something. But it was like, man, when I heard he made the deal, I was like, oh, man, dude, just take a little. Nope, maxed out. And great, good for you, dude. Yeah. You got $231 million effing dollars. Thing is, he's young enough. He'll get another contract.
Yeah. Mahomes is still under 30.
No, I'm talking about Dak.
I mean, Dak
will get another contract.
31, so about 35 when that contract's up. He's still going to be, I mean, as long as he remains healthy, he'll be in demand, at least for a 3-year deal.
We're in a different era now. I mean, we're literally watching Aaron Rodgers still play.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, I have no doubt. I know it was really bad that last year, but I think a lot of that was just that team was tired. You know, look, I love Bruce Arians, but apparently he's like really hard. Like he's an ass, like in a good way. Like, you know, I just think they were wore down. But you can't tell me if you gave Tom Brady a good team this year, he couldn't go out and throw for 4,030 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks now, as long as they're healthy, can play longer because
especially the way he plays.
Especially the way he plays, and especially the way Dak plays.
Yeah.
Dak, runs and moves, but Dak doesn't like put his body at a lot of
touchdown. Flag though. Flag.
Offsides. It's offsides.
No, Rodgers is celebrating like it's a touchdown. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I saw the play when it happened. Okay. The end for San Francisco jumped by a lot.
Lazard.
That's so funny because he has been supposedly a possible Dallas Cowboy if the receiving core for Dallas didn't develop this year. Lazard, because apparently, he's kind of on the outs. So, until this game, he's been kind of on the outs in Green Bay. In New York. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it did hurt a little bit that Dak had, it had to be the max because that you've hamstrung your team.
Yeah.
So don't tell me you want to win 100%. Tell me winning is part of it. I'm fine with that, but don't tell me all you want to do is win. No,
that's a lie.
All you want to do is win. You can take $180 million and save your team a lot.
Believe someone's actions, not what they say.
And again, I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking the actions. And I know people will say, "Well, that's on the GMs to build the team around."
I agree.
It is, but if you're wanting to win, you need to help. Oh, they're going for 2, and they do not make it.
They do not make
it. Oh, wait, he might have. No, he's a little bit short. He was close. Breece Hall almost. In fact, I think they might review that. Breece Hall almost got in. He stretched out late. Looks like he's a little short, though. But Yeah.
Right elbow is down right before he gets to the.
Yep,
Goal
forearm down, and then he put the ball across. And I think maybe the knee was down too. But yeah, that was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are about a minute and 30 left here in the third quarter. This game's moved by pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's 9:30, and we're almost into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
One of the best things that the Monday night did was go back to 7 o'clock kickoffs.
Oh yeah.
When they were at 8 o'clock kickoffs, that's, the game Monday night was, you only watched it I only watched it the one time Dallas played usually because all the games were shitty. They've gotten better at that. It helps that they got Aikman and Buck. But, the NFL told ABC when they moved it to ESPN only, if you do that, you're now at the bottom of the picks. And we saw that with the games. Even the Cowboy games would be upstart or crappy teams.
Yeah.
And you'd get some great games like the infamous Romo Buffalo game and all that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was crappy teams. It was like Dallas versus, Tampa Bay, who would be, 3-9 at that time. And anyway.
Yeah. I love it now that they got Aikman and Buck because that's the number one. That was the number one Fox team. Now it's the number one. They're not. There's only one Monday Night Football team, but when you have your Sunday night team with Tirico and Collinsworth, you got your Thursday night team with Michaels and Herbstreit. Like that's the main attraction there. They made us watch Monday Night Football instead of watching Manning's.
Yep.
And I think that's the best compliment because Manning's were like the best thing that happened in 21 or 22.
Yep.
And then the very next year, Aikman and Buck left Fox. Got a fat contract.
Who would have ever thought of the Thursday night game? Oh, here's the commercial. He just does. It just looks bad.
I'm not sure which commercial you're looking at.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was the Aaron Hernandez.
Oh.
Are you not getting that?
I might be behind.
What was he going to talk about? Oh, we're talking about Monday. I never would have thought of the Thursday night Herbstreit would be the good one, and now Michaels needs to retire.
Michael's age. So.
You could, and maybe in Sunday he was slowing down too, but the Chris Collinsworth, and who I still contend is so underrated. I know his voice is annoying, but just on pure football. And yes, he says cliches. Look, every announcer, when I announce, you say cliches. You can't help it.
Yeah.
We say cliches in our shows.
Yeah.
That's the whole joke with the but. That's my thing, it's time for Al Michaels, I think, to go.
Yeah.
Kirk Herbstreit was actually way better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he's had the experience, just not on the National
But
Football League level.
College is different. You have to dive in, and there's, as much as you and I know football, there's only so much information you can digest before you just can't grab it all.
Your brain can get full.
Yes, and as much as he knew about college and all the college stuff, there's a reason why we don't do a full-on college show.
Yeah.
Because I've got 300 high school teams I've got to worry about, and I don't know every one of them, but I know the ones I need to.
Yeah.
And then we've got the pro. So the college stuff, if we do a college show, we have to do a lot more research, which I'm fine with, but we got to have a sponsor. Email me, Terry at s2ssport.com if you'd like to be a sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys show. But yeah, it's just there's only so much you can do, and I thought Herbstreit was perfectly good last year.
Yeah, just give them some more experience, and then let's just see what happens. They're definitely going to need another play-by-play guy, but right now, Michaels just coast through this season, and then let's see what happens in 2025.
So we got a minute 16 left. The Niners lead 26-13.
To me, they're in control.
Yeah, even with that touchdown, I still think they're in control.
They're getting good pass protection. The Jets don't have Hassan Reddick. He's sitting on the sideline. He's increasing his value by not being in this game right now.
Is he?
The 49ers have been able to protect Purdy very well, and the 49ers used to have a great offensive line. Now they're just kind of middle of the road.
I think his not even willing to negotiate. I don't think the Jets care if he's back.
Because he was expecting to get a top of the line salary.
Well, I don't think he expected to be traded either from the Eagles.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think he'll have to.
There's a lot of miscommunication with him.
Yeah, I think he would have to come to the Jets and accept a low offer. I don't think the Jets, because I think the Jets, and they're not doing great, but the Jets pass rush will be fine. Like he's great, but they don't need him to be a top 10 pass rush team. Again, the Niners are a team just by their offense. You're not going to get a ton of sacks because they get rid of the ball quick. They just like the play we're watching.
Yeah.
They move Purdy around and stuff. I feel like he's burned his bridge in the Jets unless he comes to them with a like just let me play.
I think he'll eventually come, and I think they'll work out something. Let's see what the penalty is. 5 seconds left in the third quarter. 49ers are up 26-13 over the Jets. Holding on the Jets.
Wow, you're a little bit ahead of me.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't
First
care.
down, 49ers. I think they're going to run out the clock just to get it to the fourth quarter, which is what we used to say back in the day when we were playing. Yeah, 4 horsemen, fourth quarter, whatever.
I always love it now. Team will be down 4 touchdowns. Like, are you saying fourth quarter? Or are you saying we're down 4 touchdowns?
Anything can happen. And in
Yeah.
the third quarter, 49ers up 26-13. They're going to take a commercial break going into the fourth quarter.
I think it's time to wrap up, brother.
Let's wrap it up.
I think it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
We do appreciate the amazing numbers we got tonight. It's one of our longest streams outside of the Monday night streams we did last year, but those were different.
Yeah.
We literally started right when the game, and we just were sitting in the living room with the banner behind us, and we had great numbers then.
That was fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we'll probably do something like that again this year. Where
And we're
sit
actually
over there.
coherent this year.
Because we ate pizza.
That's true.
I'm so ready to go to bed though. Anyway, next week we'll be back 6 o'clock time. It'll be a live. All our in-season shows for the most part will be live. We might you have to be gone for 1 week. What week is that?
In October, it'll be the 21st.
Yeah, and so we'll figure something out then. And there might be other times where with the other parts of the shows we might have to say, okay, we're gonna have to record this. But for the most part, for the next 16 weeks, you're gonna get a live happy hour every Monday. 6 p.m. to 7:30ish. Just kind of, we're going to talk the whole week. The Thursday game, the Sunday game, preview the Monday game, and all that fun stuff. And then our special, I almost said Patreon fantasy show. I'll put that up in the morning on Tuesday. That's just going to be us talking fantasy, who we'd play, who we wouldn't play, how our teams are doing. And that's behind our Patreon wall. Go to L4 Media Company on Patreon. Dude, it's $3 a month. Less than a cup of coffee. You could do the whole season for less than a Whataburger meal.
Yep.
So please think about doing that. It really helps us. And if not, we still appreciate it. And we're going to still put all these other shows live and for free. All right. I'll tell you the first thing that Noe ever said to me.
That hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
I was like, that's my co-host of the future right there. Anyway, until next time, he's intern Noe the Pro. I am Terry, the host on Outdrink the Coverage, brought to you by Grandeur Pest Solutions on L.